I'm late. You're late. But it's because of me. What's up, everybody? Sorry we are, a little late today, but...
Oh, 4 minutes late.
4 minutes late. Yeah, I think this is the latest we've ever been. I want you to know it's not because, we're lazy or because we don't love you. It's just because I'm late. You guys are like, you guys are slacking.
I was here on time. I want everybody to know that. I was here on time.
Full Dark is here. Bobo is here. All Scientist is here. Kindly DiCaprio is here. Deanne is here.
That's so great.
Splishness is in the house. Deanne. Delicate. Thank you so much for signing up on the Patreon. That was very generous of you. Thank you very much. Very glad to have you. Of course, you know that. But that was really kind of you. So appreciate you. Who else we got? Bobo is here. I think Bobo's always the first, at least in the last several weeks. And Hanada, Melissa Jane, all the folks are here. And I just want to thank you guys for those of you who signed up on the Patreon, because I'm so excited about it. I'm working so hard. I don't know what it is, but I'm really, this stupid little site makes me want to generate content. And I think it's because there are people who show up and they're like, hey, we'll give you some money, do your thing. And what's really exciting about the Patreon is this is what it is. We're too real live. We're fucking shit talking. But the Patreon, man, it's going to be a place where we kind of, it's more about who we are. Huh. You know what I mean? The writers, the astrologers, the editors, that's who's going to come out in the Patreon content. So I'm thrilled with it. I really am. I'm excited about it. I was like, I've been working on it all weekend. We'll have some cool announcements, I think, by Thursday. I'm just working very hard to get set for those. Mm-hmm. And this is going to... And by the way, I'm switching things up. So if you're going over to the Patreon, you're going to sign up. Just sign up for the crew, because I'm going to end up making the writer's room just a perk for the crew. Everything. The crew is everything. That's it. It's the crew. Just join the crew. It's $1 a month or any amount you can afford or feel willing to, you feel we're worth. And then, after that, you're going to have you'll have access to the writer's room, which before the end of the week, perhaps by midweek, it depends on really how I can knock this schedule out this ridiculous schedule I put together for myself. But I'll be actually streaming live the writing process and the recording of the audiobook. And that's really the sort of foundation of getting in under the hood again and sort of correcting errors that I find or making edits and second edition. I've got a couple of scenes I want to add. There's an arc I kind of left behind in the first draft that is going to be there for the other draft. So it's going to be super fun. Do check it out. I'm excited. You should be excited too. If you like,
I have a question for you.
Yes.
I didn't see your thumbnail before you put it up. Did you jump scare them again with a Baldoni picture?
No, it's him looking at you with he's like, hey, baby.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he's been a.
Scientist said at this point, Dale, you're just trolling us with the Baldoni jump scares.
Absolutely, dude. I've had it. Well, actually, the truth is I was like, when I put a picture of Baldoni being beautiful, his stands show up in droves. And it's not that I don't want that. I'll hang out with all of the Baldoni fans 100%. But a lot of them are mean.
But then they want to argue with you.
Yeah, a lot of them are mean. They want to say stupid shit. They want to bug me because I'm elderly.
Are you elderly?
I don't think so. But I will say that, I don't want to wish on them that they don't see these
the gray beard years.
The gray years.
Yeah.
I don't want to wish that on them.
Yeah, but they seem like they don't want it though.
But I don't know if anyone
hate it.
I don't know if anyone's going to tell them, because I knew this early. This was not something I recognized later. It was like, oh fuck, I'm aging. I was, I witnessed aging all around me from a very young age. And so I had already reconciled with the fact that it was 100% going to happen. So it was never a surprise to me, but it seems to be a surprise to a lot of people who show up here. Or I guess they're like, oh, he turned 50. He should fuck off and die now. Retirement, I suppose, would be something like us, staying indoors with the windows drawn.
Yeah, you're supposed to just
drawn.
be all dad mode all the time. You're not supposed to be on YouTube. You're supposed to be on the golf course.
Dude, my generation did more blow than any generation ever. We're not going to be your standard run-of-the-mill granddads.
Yeah.
Ozzy Osbourne was kind of a prelude to who the fuck we are.
You guys invented skateboarding.
It's right. We invented skateboarding. We certainly took it over Over the top. All right. Well, the Grammys. You want to talk about them?
Yes. Okay. So Kindly DiCaprio, so sweet as always. Said,
Yeah.
Well done to all the Grammy winners. I
Yeah.
do not agree with this.
Well, yeah. Okay. Let's hear about yours.
For
I
instance,
got mine.
Full Dark No Star said thrilled for Olivia Dean, and I am not thrilled.
Yeah.
for
Well,
Olivia
I
Dean.
am not either. Like she seemed, by the way, eloquent
seems-
as fuck.
Oh, she seems very nice.
Like, honestly,
I'm sure,
this woman-
I understand why everybody who knows her supports her.
Over the
She
moon
seems
for
like a
her, for
total
sure.
Sweetheart.
Yeah, she is. She's got all the goods as a human being, like no doubt about it. I think she's an absolutely fucking wonderful celebrity based on the short interaction I've had with her in this situation.
Yes.
If she can handle herself like that and continue to handle herself like that, then she should have a really great career. I just didn't
Her
like
acceptance speech was really
exceptional.
yeah. She said I'm the product of bravery.
I'm the product of bravery.
Referring to
It oh my
her-
god, that just hit me as soon as
I
you
know,
said it.
referring to how her relatives are immigrants. And I just thought that was like, I was like, oh, okay, that's the best way I've heard anybody say that before.
It was utterly perfect. And so
it's true.
so she gets all my love and respect. The song itself, which is a fine song. There's nothing
It's
wrong with the
not.
song. It is to me, it's got all the elements of being a good song.
It isn't though.
But-
It's fucking boring. It doesn't do anything.
To me, it's
It is
void
the
of
same in the
emotion.
beginning as it is in the middle as it is in the end.
Yeah, it takes me absolutely
doesn't
nowhere.
go anywhere. I
Yeah.
feel like if you're gonna be a singer, right? That's
Yeah.
making pop music or whatever niche she's in.
Yeah.
You either have to bring a lot of energy, which she doesn't,
Right.
or you have to bring a lot of feeling, which I don't.
She
hear
doesn't.
from her
No, she
either.
doesn't. She's
And
so like glass. She's as clean as glass.
I know.
Like everything is polished.
I was like,
to
wow,
the
this
point
is like,
where it's like
supermarket music. This is like pop radio music. I just don't feel like
kinda reminds
she
me
didn't
of,
stand
like-
out to me from the rest of the pack. The Grammys did a really good job of having the performances of all of the. Was it Best New Artist? that she
yeah,
won?
that was so great.
Yeah, that was really cool. They did like a whole live montage of everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody was more entertaining than her. It was just such a snooze fest when she came. She's wonderful.
She reminds me of-
Congratulations to her, but I was like in that crowd. I don't know.
Yeah, there was a lot of really. I was quite surprised by the depth, and I believe I was looking at the astrology, bro. I believe that music, like, is only going to be getting better and better and better for the next 10 to 20 years, like across the board. Like, and I'll explain later. But
Is it because of Neptune going into Aries?
it's a part of Neptune going into Aries? Yeah,
I think that's a really good. That's really smart because Aries is very
Gregarious.
very creative, and very self-determined.
Yeah.
So it's like very much a celebrity sign. Like
guess-
Aries is
yeah.
very much like I am here. Like hear me roar. I'm like in the forefront. Here is my identity, and I'm putting it out as my creative output to the world.
Yeah.
Is Aries. It's really, really smart. And then Neptune is all of the sort of like mystical messages we get from the cosmos. The people who are
Yeah.
really, really skilled and talented with their art form sort of feel like they get their artistry from without, and it sort of arrives to them. Those are like Neptunian messages.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of Neptune also rules fame and filmmaking and all of the like imaginary, creation. The
that funny
creative
that
expression
Neptune-
that's very like imaginary and mythical and stuff.
Neptune means like Neptune. Signifies filmmaking, filmmakers,
Yes,
and it's conjunct my ascendant.
that's so amazing.
But that's
That
astrologically
that you got into filmmaking and you're like, here's my home. This is what I am.
yeah,
That's
like
my
that moment
identity.
in the book where I identify like this is it.
Yeah,
It wasn't hockey. It wasn't stand-up comedy.
found who I am.
It wasn't acting.
right.
It was fucking this, and I never knew.
So I just feel
But I
like,
knew it ached in me, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I longed for it. I was in search of it, like we all are, especially at that age. I think that what's her name? Olivia?
Olivia Dean.
I think she's like this generation's Natalie Imbruglia. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, maybe.
What's that song? Torn. Mm-hmm. Big, giant, fucking massive hit.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, she probably won a bunch of awards for it. She was just beautiful. Sang it with like
Yeah.
all the cleanliness of a well-washed piece of glass. I don't know how else to put it. It's just like glass to me. Anyway, congratulations to her. I didn't think she was going to win at all. It was the biggest surprise of the night, really, for me. Not that I'm a fucking, an authority
No, but
on
I mean, like
all the music awards.
they they ran that award, you know, like, and the winner is after we just saw all these performances.
Yeah.
And there were really like some really impressive.
Yeah, I'd like to hear the records. And, you know, I think I'll check them out. I really thought there was a great string of nominees.
I'm Bobo said, I'm okay with Justin Bieber's performance. And then gave one of these.
Let me tell you.
Emojis.
Oh, that's really cool. I loved it.
Yeah, me too.
I dug what he was doing there, man. He was just being stripped down. He was giving us the, like, here's what I do when I'm in my apartment with Haley swooning at me in the corner.
I know, you were like, why is he in his underwear? Why is he in his shorts? And I was like, it's a stripped down performance, Dale. Don't you understand? The aesthetic is stripped down.
Yeah.
No frills. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm actually a really big fan of, like, when I lived in Los Angeles, I used to visit the Largo, which is a venue that that hosts a lot of comedy nights for, like, you know, the best comedians in Los Angeles. It's really an amazing venue. It's a really tiny space, but or at least it was. I think it moved. But they also had musical guests, and because it's such a small space, like, I remember I saw John Bryan there twice, and he's one of these people who would, like, he would do, like, looping music, you know, where he would, like, play one instrument and then get that track down and then go and play another instrument and then get that track down. And you get to see them, like, build their song the whole way through. And I just absolutely love that. Maybe it's because I'm Venus and Aquarius, but I love, like, these like really inventive kind of artistry where it's like one person is just, like, creating the entire mix. And if you get to see them do it and you get to, like, see them stack the sounds, it's really rewarding. So I bought into Justin Bieber's performance from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, it was stripped down all the way, right? It wasn't just that he was standing there naked. It was that he was also stripped down. He had no band. He had no backup singers. He had loops.
It's really clever.
It was a wonderful fucking performance by this kid. His talent is really immense.
I also think
there's little doubt about it.
He's got definitely in his career. I mean, I don't know the whole lot about him, but I know about the controversy.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of people were concerned over the last year or two.
Yeah.
For his mental health. And it seems like he's really primed for, like, it's a great time for reinvention. And him going on the Grammy stage in front of every professional in the business and showing them that he can make a compelling performance, just him and himself without any of the, like, lights and band or anything.
Yeah.
I thought was really, really smart.
I totally agree. I loved it.
You're going to respect the artistry that I am rather than all of this other shit.
Big giant props to him. He went all the way up on my, like, respect-a-meter. He went all the way up, you know, and, like, I've often thought of Justin Bieber as somebody who got dragged in real young and got battered around quite a bit. And I think that a lot of people were assholes toward him, including Leonardo DiCaprio. Mm-hmm. If you remember, there was some press about Leo and everybody bullying up on him in some event. And that started to take some perspective after learning about Diddy and the humiliation tactics that he went through.
Yeah, so it makes you wonder whether DiCaprio knows something that we don't about Justin Bieber because he saw him
or has an opinion about him based on some
compromising
he was told by right
in a Diddy party.
Or he saw a fucking tape, whatever.
Fucking horrible, dude.
Yeah. So
that shit is so dark, dude. I just hope that.
And look, man, Hailey Bieber, like that shit, you know, she's controversial all the way, and you know, so it's kind of like a bit of a package in that way. Like comes with its bitters, but I was really impressed by the performance. I thought it was like fucking world class, and yeah, I thought it was actually probably the best performance of the night overall for me.
I want to talk about how we previously on Too Real talked about Jelly Roll, the musician, the singer.
J-Roll.
As if he was a real one.
Yeah.
And I have doubts now.
He kind of fell off a cliff for me last night.
I have doubts that Jelly Roll is a real one anymore.
He fell all the way off a cliff for me last night. At least, you know, look, maybe Jelly Roll like recovers in some way in terms of my impression of him or whatever. And it wasn't like I was buying his records or even streaming them, but like, yeah, he
won
fell
Best
all the way
Contemporary Country Album.
Yeah.
Which is like, I guess, a new category. I don't know.
No, I think that's been going on for a while. I think contemporary, I don't know what they mean by it because I guess there's like a bluegrass.
Maybe there's
and
like a classic country and a contemporary. I think that it was a result. Somebody said that it was a result of Beyonce winning. And they were pissed about that. So they needed to create separate categories that if she were to compete again, that she would like be in that space.
Shutting down Beyonce?
I have no idea.
Got to put that talent in a box.
But anyway, Jelly Roll went, and his acceptance speech, he sounded like a street preacher.
It got bad. It got real ugly.
He got so energized when he's talking about Jesus and the Lord or whatever the fuck, and he was like...
Sermon, just
it
a
gave
straight
me
sermon.
It gave me like I kind of got like scared because
yeah.
he was speaking he had the same energy as like one of those like like a fire and brimstone televangelist. Like he had the same cadence.
Yeah, you remember the guy
and the
from
same shout.
Poltergeist? You know, which one was it? Poltergeist 2 or whatever? No. You're gonna die! You're all gonna die! And he had that big wide
like
fucking
that.
face.
I feel like, and then they did a big pan across the audience and everybody was kind of like this after. It was just really uncool, man.
The guy fucking, yeah, he fell off a cliff for me for sure in a big way. Like he came all the way up. I was like, whoa, that was a long fall, buddy. I definitely changed it changed my opinion of him. Not that I have like some kind of, grudge against him or anything like that. No, I fucking don't care about him. But it just like, I was like intrigued by him to the extent that I would have probably been listening to him at some point, and now I have absolutely no desire to listen to him.
Also, he like later on.
I should have, of course, got the fucking clue with the fucking cross on his cheek. But I was like, okay, we make mistakes,
I saw in a video later, like he did some like press conference or something where he's holding his Grammy, and he asked to answer all the questions from the press. You hearing me?
Yes.
And somebody asked him about whether he intends to speak up about ICE or something, right? And his answer, I didn't hear the question, but I heard his answer was like, listen, man, nobody's like expecting me to say anything. Like nobody's coming to me for perspectives on American politics. He's like, I'm just a dumb redneck is what he said. He said that he grew up so poor that he just didn't care about or know about politics. It wasn't in his world. He was just trying to survive, which is like totally fair.
Totally.
But when he said, I'm just a dumb redneck, I was like, that right there? Like, you don't understand rednecks.
Right.
Like, rednecks have always been, like, fuck the police from the very, very beginning.
For sure.
Like the entire region of Appalachia has had their boot on their neck for so long. They are very, very clear-eyed about how they feel about authority.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right about that.
So I was just like, no, you're not like a redneck. You're something else. I don't understand why you don't, like, you guys are supposed to be don't tread on me. Straight out the gate.
It also like sends this weird message. It's like, hey man, I was this like wild like ex-con. I'm this like wildly crazy ex-con who like I'm only standing here because like God chose me.
Oh yeah, with his acceptance speech.
Yeah, like it was like there's like, so what are you trying? What's the message here?
I actually don't really recall what he said because his delivery was so jarring that I kind of.
It was like a sermon about basically how he went from living in a 6x8 prison cell.
Yeah.
He said he confessed, if you don't recall, he said something to the extent
he pulled a Baldoni where he's like,
I've done terrible things. I've been a terrible person or something to that effect.
He tried to Baldoni.
Yeah. He just let it out, right? Which, I mean, it's kind of shows, like you figure like a guy doesn't end up in the shape he's in by, volunteering. You know what I mean?
That brings to mind another thing that's going to be Aries and Neptune and Aries. We're going to hear a lot of redemption stories. There's going to be a lot of those. A lot of films about redemption stories. It's really sneaky because what do we know now about our politics and about the authorities and the people in power and with there's a lot of people who do need to be redeemed if they're ever going to reclaim any of their fame and control, right?
Yeah.
So we have to be really careful about who we allow to tell redemption stories and who we don't. But Neptune, one of the biggest significations of Neptune is the Redeemer. Neptune loves a redemption story. And in Aries, everybody's going to be like shouting him loud. So stories like this, like he was in a prison cell and he found the Lord. It's going to be a bunch of that shit.
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't love it. He definitely, like I said, fell off a cliff. What were other highlights? I thought that Lady Gaga just fucking crushed it. I was like fired up after that fucking song, bro. I was like, first of all, I think she's a genius.
I love the conspiracy theory that Lady Gaga is performing witchcraft every time she performs that song.
Fucking just... I was possessed by that song.
I think it's so amazing. Because do you guys know that
it's not the first time I've heard it either, but it was
I've talked about this before, but abracadabra literally means in witchcraft, it means as I speak, so be it. Right?
Yeah.
Abracadabra.
Yeah.
Okay. And so remember when she performed in Rio de Janeiro and she had a stage they'd built on the beach,
yep.
which happens often. They do Rock in Rio there. It's like massive.
Yeah, it's been going on since I remember in the 80s seeing tape and shit like that going on in Rio.
Yeah, like fucking Freddie Mercury.
It made everybody want to go to
Queen,
Rio. Everybody.
But apparently, for that performance and for this song, she had the largest crowd ever singing Abracadabra with her. And people were saying that she's like energy harvesting.
Yeah.
Like she puts together these big stadiums and she has everybody singing Abracadabra with her. And the lyrics in the song are very witchy about like, I don't know. I just really think it's great. If she's doing it, then like all power to her, you know? Good for her for coming up with it.
I was blown away by her performance. I thought everything about it was brilliant. She's absolutely a staggering genius in my opinion. I think this might be like one of the golden ages of pop. Like I think like we're in the midst of like pop, just like, you know, like K-pop Demon. Is that what it's called?
K-pop Demon Hunters.
Oh man. I mean, it's just the best thing I ever heard.
We went in so skeptical. And then like
we went in completely blind.
Like, oh, I get why this is the biggest shit ever.
Like we went and we were just like, everyone's talking about it. You want to just watch it? Like we didn't even know what it was about, except I did know that it was an animation. Haven't seen one in forever. So I was like, yeah, you want to watch it, whatever. And you were just like, yeah. Because it was like one of those days where we had no other plans or whatever. Yeah. And boom, we hit the play button. And within minutes, we were just like, and like listening to the sounds and like, fuck, I mean, this is all genius. So it's...
Yeah, they know what they're doing, man.
It's fuck. That was an utterly brilliant... And again, like pop. I just think it's a golden age of pop. Like,
I know, I agree.
This is like her story. You know her story?
Whose?
The writer of the music?
Oh, yeah, well, she said it in her acceptance speech.
She went through all this rejection and like, you know, just like... It sounds like kind of like at least by her perception, some kind of cruelty, you know, some level of cruelty that she went through.
Well, yeah, it's hard to get rejected in show business, yeah.
Sure, you know, it's again, by her perception, I'm not at all suggesting that there were people being cruel, but she felt like she was being crueled upon. It sounded right in my head. And so, yeah, I mean, brilliant. So yeah, the pop is just off the charts. I mean, it's just, there's just constant, like, real brilliance coming out of pop. I'll tell you one of the surprising things about the Grammys for me was that the best rock record wasn't even on TV.
There was a lot of stuff that we missed too. I'm seeing acceptance speeches people are sharing on social media. I'm like, where was that show? Because I watched the whole thing, and it's just like Durand Bernard is he's like a gospel singer, but he sings like a R&B, I guess. I don't know what the genre is. But anyway, he's incredible. His vocal control is incredible. Yeah. And he's a giant ham. He's so funny. He's constantly being hilarious. He's like if Paul Rubens had created Pee Wee Herman, right? The persona of Pee Wee Herman, but gave him like a ton of charisma. Yeah. That's what the character of Durand Bernard is.
That's funny.
He's amazing. And so that wasn't on the telecast. And also like best rock album wasn't even...
I couldn't believe it. I was like, the best rock album doesn't make it to TV?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
I guess it doesn't, that's not who's buying, I guess. I don't know.
Another thing that kind of like stood out to me today, and something that just really like affected me in a really positive way, like not in some kind of like magnificent, oh my God, I can't believe I just witnessed this kind of TV, but it was just feel good, which was... what's her name? Reba McEntire?
Yes.
So she hasn't ever performed. They make a big deal that she hasn't performed at the Grammys. I'm like, okay, whatever. It is a little weird because she had such a great little run there before she went into television. But nonetheless, I was like, okay, whatever. You sell it, sell it. But I've heard her before, and she's a damn fine country singer, like absolutely. And I've seen her perform live, not in person, but just watched live performances recorded. And was always impressed by her. So there was that. But one of the things that always impressed me about her is that she was the kind of person who can seemingly be away from it forever and then kind of just show up and be like, watch me pop this off. Mm-hmm. So she shows up, obviously. You guys saw it. I thought she got off to a really like sort of a little shaky start, It was like, oh, look, Reba McEntire is fucking singing live in front of fucking everybody. And then...
like she was nervous, you think?
As soon as those backup singers came in and they started to harmonize, she just found her fucking voice, bro. Yes. And then she started like, what I love about great musicians, and I really think that she's one. Yeah. What I love about them is they understand how to play into the sound. They know how to. They're the MSG. Except those, there's obviously the exceptions, the fucking leads and the people shouting instead of singing and all this other stuff. But the great musicians, bro, they find their spots. And she just started finding these spots and just getting in these harmonies and coming out of them. And then when she did return to being solo, there was an entirely different kind of confidence.
It's true.
It was just her voice was fuller.
Like she got her sea legs.
She had more control. And it was just like this really wonderful thing to like witness. It made me feel it, in a way that is only like that you can only feel in true live performances. And so I really, really was touched by it. Like I got little fuzzy arms over it. I was like, oh damn, Reba found it, man. And she like made it work, in a moment where, she was either, it was like shatter or be great, and she went to great.
This
pretty fucking
song
wonderful.
was really corny though. I don't know. I think that there's there's a whole genre of country music where all the songs are extremely literal. Like the lyrics are like so literal that you don't even have to think.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that.
Yeah.
Because she opened up the In Memoriam segment with a song that was like very clearly.
Everyone died in this song. They're all fucking dead. Speaking of that, so I was really surprised that
Trailblazers. I was like, okay, what?
The whole In Memoriam thing. I'm not. I understand why they went with the whole Roberta Flack thing and how they, did like ended up with killing with Softly, but that was like that fell real flat for me as soon as Wyclef. First of all, Wyclef is just absolutely not a beloved figure.
Yes, I know.
All.
But however, we did get to see Raphael Sadiq come up to the stage and play, which was a real fucking treat.
Yeah, there were some super good moments in there, and I enjoyed it overall, but I was disappointed with it because what I really felt they should have focused on was Sly, bro. Like, I don't understand why you have a guy who, in your In Memoriam that you do after the break of the Roberta Flack, fucking massive moment, which I love Roberta Flack. We have her vinyl, we're fans, but like, damn, man, like, Stone died, right? Like Sly fucking Stone. And Sly Stone, and they said in their like, tribute to him, this guy, he
changed music.
He changed music, he was an innovator. And I'm like, well, but what do you mean? Like they had this big tribute to D'Angelo, which they fucking should have. D'Angelo is a prodigy of fucking Prince.
Yes.
And Prince is a prodigy of fucking Sly.
I know.
And you have Sly and you have D'Angelo dying in the same fucking year.
I had the same problem.
And I'm like, what the fuck did you miss that opportunity for? Like, don't get me wrong, man. Lauryn Hill, like, she's got a reputation, but like, I know. She was a big part of my 90s experience.
But I was like, okay, so they did a big performance for D'Angelo with his backing group.
With his band, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was fucking tight.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was tight.
They brought his organ on stage
and
it was
so
just
good.
empty.
And they left it empty.
I know, it was amazing.
Just totally heart-wrenching.
But then when they segued to Roberta Flack, I was like, oh, okay, cool, because it's Lauryn Hill. That makes sense. Like, we'll just do a little song for her,
right. Do some
and then they'll segue to Sly Stone, and they'll end on a happy note.
Yeah.
But they never did.
No!
It felt like 20 minutes on Roberta Flack, and I was like...
And nothing on Sly. Yeah. Zero Sly.
Did you like the Ozzy Osbourne cover?
I loved it. They fucking shredded it to death. I thought that Post Malone was a perfect... when it started, I was like, Post Malone, really? And then I thought he just absolutely fucking sliced that song to fucking little
So the band was like...
bits.
It was Guns N' Roses with Chad Smith from Red Hot Chili Peppers on the drums.
Who I thought he played... It sounded like he played it note for note.
I know.
Which I was like blown away. Let me tell you, man, Bill Ward is no joke, bro. Yeah.
We didn't say. They played War Pigs.
It was War Pigs. Yeah.
Which is just the fucking greatest metal song ever written.
It could be. It really could be the greatest song ever. The thing about this is like, when they're attributing, Ozzy Osbourne, and there was no version of Black Sabbath better than the Ozzy Osbourne version of Black Sabbath. But he was very much a frontman. Like, in terms of like actual like songwriting, he wasn't really prevalent in those years at all in terms of the songwriting. And that was done by Tony...
wrote War Pigs?
Bill Ward and Tony Iommi. Bill Ward wrote all the lyrics. Bill Ward wrote all of the lyrics for the entire fucking run of Black Sabbath for the most part. I mean, Ronnie James Dio definitely got in on it because he was, he's Ronnie James Dio and he fucking made them form a whole new band and the whole thing, which I saw, by the way. And they were really great. I saw them with like Motorhead and shit. But I digress. Bill Ward, bro, the drummer. He's one of the most prolifically important rock stars of all time. And when he dies, they're probably just going to put up his fucking picture. And by the way, they totally boned Ace Frehley.
Oh, well,
I didn't see it anyway.
I know. The director had a hard time catching all of the faces and the names that flashed on the screen behind. I thought that was
So maybe we
kinda
missed it, but
uncool.
Ace Frehley is like, what?
I know.
What? Like they should have in the Black Sabbath thing. Somebody should have just like fucking wore his makeup or something. For real. Like I mean, he's Ace Frehley. I mean, this guy was one of the biggest rock icons of all time. He was another guitarist who changed the game. He leveled the game up in terms of his rhythms.
Also, what's his name from Supertramp?
Oh, Rick Davies.
Rick Davies. Yeah.
All they did was like pop his picture up, like he was like a. And I'm not trying to demote anybody. I don't want anyone to feel like they shouldn't be seen. But Rick Davies, I mean, this guy's so prolific. He was like if Roger Waters was important to music, Rick Davies was important to music. And
I was bummed about that too.
yeah, so there was a lot of shit going on. But I loved the Grammys, even though this was probably the worst, my least favorite in a long time. And I still come out of it more inspired than I do ever, watching things like the Oscars or the Globes or anything like that. In fact, I get out of those ones more agitated than anything. These ones, I'm like, I want to do something with my life. Part of it is because, unlike the Globes, where they totally pussed out on everything, musicians were throwing it fucking down. Bad Bunny throwing it down. It's like, I'd like to thank God, all the God stuff, it's like watching sports with that. But, I'm like, whatever, you believe what you believe, fucking pray and do all that stuff. Like, yeah, I'll get through it. If you make it the whole speech, what's that guy's name? The guy who fell off the cliff? The country guy?
Oh, yeah.
Whatever, that guy, he fell off the cliff.
Jelly Roll.
J-Rolls. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
You're doing it like that.
Suspicious of him now.
But Ice Bunny, he said, man, ice out. Ice out.
I also thought, what's her name? Billie Eilish won. I don't think she deserved to win in her category.
She's such a classy fucking
I think it's crazy that Doechie's song "Anxiety" was like the song of the summer, and she didn't win. Kendrick Lamar was in the same. This category.
fucking guy. He's on the thumbnail. He fucking walked away with half the fucking Grammys in the entire building.
He always deserves more though.
He just gets a tray of them. He's gonna have a Grammy room.
He's the winningest.
Just a Grammy room, just filled with all of his fucking Grammys.
Yeah,
He should just start selling them at this point.
I appreciate him so much because he really draws from his inspiration, like a. Like in 90s rap was so iconic and so everlasting because they were drawing on samples from all of the artists that came before them, right? So they would be like digging through the record crates and they'd find little bits of music from all of these other really amazing iconic artists. So they just carried it forward, and that's what Kendrick Lamar does. Is he's heavily inspired by generations before him, and he always like really reps his town and where he's from.
Yeah.
Culturally, he's just like, this is who I am, and I identify with this. And I just feel like artistically, when a person has that much like resources to pull from, even just like in of like a woo-woo sense, like ancestrally you're pulling from resources when you're like repping where you're from and your neighborhood and your whole community.
Yeah.
Like that's a bunch of energy you bring forward into your creative output.
Yeah.
And it's undeniable. It becomes magnetic for that reason. Because it's so well supported.
Yeah.
And the foundations of it are so deep,
Yeah.
So I just feel like anything that he ever makes, like it's rich with that. You can kind of get it, even if you aren't a big fan of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like any of these artists that, there's a lot of artists that just don't impress me, and I'm like, maybe that's why, because they're just not pulling from the depths,
Kestrel's Music, hello Kestrel's Music, says, guys, I think it's amazing that what Jelly Roll said. I hadn't seen any of it, just watched it. Yes, it was in that style. But standing up for Jesus is the best thing anyone can do, in my opinion. Enjoying the show. Cheers. Well, here's the interesting thing about that. Like, so I'm not a Jesus person, right? Despite the fact that, by the way, I have nothing against Jesus people. I made a faith-based film. You should check it out. It's on YouTube, actually, and if you're in America, maybe elsewhere as well. It's called Small Group. People love it. It's a good movie. I'm proud of it. Fully Christian movie, like straight up faith-based film. What Jelly Roll did for me, as somebody not interested in it, right, in that religion or in that God or however you want to put it, he didn't. I didn't feel like he was like talking in a way. Like I feel like he was talking in a way that was more pleasing to Christians, And so like more appeasing them than he was repping Jesus. Because like as a repping Jesus thing goes, I was like kind of afraid of it. Do you know what I mean? Like it kind of scared me in the end. I was like, I don't want to be possessed like that person. Yeah. I would never want to be
there was like a
possessed like that person.
Harshness in his energy that I felt it was really, I don't know, man.
And it's like he said, like Jesus is the only way or whatever. Like he narrowed down everybody's choices.
It's an exclusive club.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay.
He narrowed us all our choices down. And then as soon as that happens, I'm like, bro, I don't believe in any God that lets people die and go to a so-called thing called hell just because they didn't get introduced to or even potentially exposed to Christianity. Do you know what I mean? Like what God is going to be like, well, it was bad luck for you, but dispose of that
also,
soul.
Like,
you know,
historically
it's silly.
speaking, like throughout the millennia, but also like even just in the history of the United States, being so fervently about all about that one religion, has actually brought a lot of destruction to people and communities.
There's that, so but I'm not going to blame individials for that, though.
No, I know.
Your
but
faith
what I'm saying
is your faith,
like
and that's cool.
It might be okay if in mixed company people kind of just like keep it closer to the chest, like, you know, given its history.
Delicate said, "Pause up." What does that mean?
Pause up.
Yeah. Somebody said, "Love her." I think we were talking about that was. I think that was what's her face, man? Abracadabra.
Yeah, Lady Gaga.
Fucking love that chick, bro. I'm like, she won me, and like she's going on my playlists. I'm in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not around you. We're gonna, you know, when I do all my chores and stuff.
You know, it's like if you're like, I just discovered Madonna's later albums, and I can't wait to blast them. That's what it reminds me of a lot.
Hers?
Yes.
Well, I'll let you know how I feel about it, but I think she's fantastic. She killed it. Anything else about the Grammys that you can think of? Like, what else was there? Well, I mean, there was Trevor Noah. I thought he was average. I felt like it was like his last show, and he kind of like, he didn't really bring it. I thought it was like mostly dry. And he did have, he got a little like, he got way better right at the end there. He started like swinging it. There was a couple of moments there where he was like swinging for the fences and he was hitting hard.
I thought that how they handled Cher's mishaps was adorable. Cher came on to accept a Lifetime Achievement Award and she had not attended the dress rehearsal. She had not attended the rehearsal and did not know what to do.
No, I imitated her earlier in the day while I was like cooking. I was like talking about how she was probably like, honey, I've been in this business for more than 60 years. I don't need to come down and do anything. Are you going to have teleprompters? Okay, I can read a teleprompter. Okay? I know you're a director and you're probably going to enamor me for this, so happy days. But I'm going to show up when I show up, and I'm going to do my thing because I know how to do my thing.
That's what it seemed like.
All right, baby? Thanks, baby doll. It's Cher. It's Cher. I've been around a while. Okay?
Baby doll.
You little cheeky thing, you. What are you, 60 years old or something? You're just a baby.
I know.
So, you know, poor Cher, yeah, she fumbled all over the place. I hope people just leave her alone. I mean, she was just fucking, she's obviously aging. She's 77 years old. She's been through a lot of trauma if you're just looking at her face. I mean,
she also gets a pass for everything. Like, I don't care if Cher is awkward. She does it amazingly.
Yeah, exactly.
She
Let her be
does
awkward.
being awkward.
Dude, she's 77 years old wearing that.
Yeah, I know.
Wearing that.
Yeah, she gets a pass.
Most people 77 have bags. Like actual bags, external bags.
I noticed nobody's even talking about it online today because they just like give her a total pass for it because she's iconic, you know?
Love her. She walked off and she just walked away. And everyone knew there was something wrong, except Cher. Until she got there and they were like, well, you got to read the nominees. Right.
Oh, and apparently Joni Mitchell got a Lifetime Achievement Award and made a speech, but we didn't see it on the telecast.
Well, maybe
Isn't that
because
fucking weird?
that might have been, you know, that might have been because it wasn't televisable.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, you know.
No Two Trolls is here. What's up, No Two Trolls? Thank you for being here. And being a friend, Erica is here. You guys are awesome, man. Don't forget to like the live. If you haven't subscribed, I think, you know, obviously everybody in the chat seems to have subscribed. But if you're somewhere lurking in the shadows, you know, put your long, frail finger forward and press the like button, would you? Thank you.
Oh, Delicate said, did you hear what Will.i.am said on the red carpet? It's pretty much what you have said about AI, Angela.
What did he say?
I don't know. I don't know what he said, but he agrees with me. That's good.
Yeah, it's the worst thing ever. It's just gonna be an epic fail for the arts, I hope. Will I am AI comments? What are the AI remarks? At the what's it called?
Deanne said, I'm hoping that music goes back to old school musicality and not AI driven. Strong lyrics and hooks. I'm with you.
Yeah, I think there's going to be there's a couple other things that are going on astrologically, and I've brought it up prematurely, but we will cover it eventually. I believe that there's going to be a music renaissance period. We're going to have like one of the big moments in these next, I think it's probably going to be within 10 years, but certainly within the next generation, there's going to be like a major, like it's going to be like the 70s, like the 90s, like that kind of
Hell yeah.
massive, like people changing shit and doing it with music, instruments in hand.
Oh, Delicate said, I love Sabrina Carpenter's performance. You did too.
Loved it. I'm a fucking fan. I'm saying it's the golden age of pop. This fucking chick absolutely fucking crushed every second of that. When she was on Saturday Night Live, just absolutely fucking I mean, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
She never misses.
By the way, we did see the Saturday, we were up to date on Saturday Night Lives, and we saw, was it geese? We saw geese, right?
Yeah.
That was some kind of bird. Yeah, okay, geese.
Yeah.
The turkeys. We saw geese. Fucking great. Yeah, I mean, they're great. I mean, kind of like, it's weird. They're kind of like abstract-y. Yeah. I dug it, man. I like how he gets into his like slamming like pixies or whatever. I don't know much about punk, but
Conley DiCaprio said that Jelly Roll, his acceptance speech was like your character in Small Group, where you're a street preacher.
yeah.
And then Deanne said Jelly Roll sounded like a tent revival, Brother Loves Traveling Salvation show.
Yeah, it was like that. It was like too evangelical for me.
Deanne said, because I was like, he calls himself, I'm just a dumb redneck, so I don't have an opinion about the cops. I was like, what? Impossible.
Yeah.
Deanne was like, has he not seen Dukes of Hazzard?
Yeah, Dukes of Hazzard. They're literally running from the law the entire show
and
in
everyone,
a Confederate car.
And every redneck is cheering for them to get away.
And they're all, and exactly.
Like, it's very clear how rednecks feel about the cops since the beginning.
And just when you think Bo Duke is stupid, Bo Duke does something really fucking smart. Hello, Wheatleys. I'm late as hex. What's up, Manderley? It's good to see you. Glad you're here. We're the Wheatleys.
Oh, Deanne said, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Deanne said, redemption is a joke. Need remorse, empathy, and repentance.
Yeah.
Justin Baldoni has none of that in his lack of consent stories. I know, that's why it's so repulsive.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, Deanne said that Jelly Roll is a little like Baldoni, where he went on about cheating on his wife.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. No, it's so weird. It's just like these people who are like somehow finding themselves spotlighted, and like, it's like Justin Baldoni literally saying, I am not an expert, and then going out and accepting fees and speaking to groups of people on the topic he is not an expert in. It's just so fucking backwards. I don't understand it. Like, be a celebrity and go do celebrity things.
I have a problem with it that you do about that. I feel like people can share their experiences if they're not an expert. I mean, I think that he's full of shit, personally. Him talking about him specifically, I think he's full of shit. And
he has a fucking podcast. He's not an expert, but he's got a podcast.
I know, but
I'm not. What do you mean? I'm an expert at gossip. What are you talking about? I've been gossiped about for 30 years.
Yeah, I don't have that same criticism of him being a guy with a platform talking who's not an expert. I feel like if you're not an expert, you're actually much better at asking the good questions that help your audience understand the topic.
Yeah.
I think it's an asset to not be an expert if you're trying to share information. Like, I plan on reviewing books on astrology as I'm studying them. I feel like that would be really valuable to people.
Yeah.
Because everything that we're learning from we're learning from astrologers all the way since the fucking
Vaticus Valens and up.
BCs. So it's like we all have to study at some point.
Some people don't.
Might as well do it together in like a little book club.
Our astrology brand, for lack of a better term, is called Fountainhead Astrology.
Yeah.
And people wonder if it has something to do with the Ayn Rand book. And I don't give a fuck. I'm going to say this shit, by the way. I'm a fan of that book. I read that book. I thought that book was fucking great. Ayn Rand, she's dead. I don't care. Her shit, fuck her. All that nonsense that all her fucking objectivism.
Oh, like her personal political opinions?
No. Her fucking objectivism and her idea, like the burden of the poor and all this other bullshit. She can fuck off with all that shit. But I thought that book was well written and it was really entertaining.
The Fountainhead is, her writing style is really nice. It's totally my speed.
Fountainhead, as we're using it for astrology, and we are using the word fountainhead, which has been around for centuries and centuries. It's been used for centuries and centuries. The first instance is like something in the 16th or 15th, like way back, like fucking Middle Age. And
yeah, it's like another word for a wellspring.
Yeah, it's exactly, the source.
Yeah.
It's the source. And so that's why we chose it. We loved it because we're Hellenistic based astrologers. We don't, we use some modern, because there's some value in modern astrology, certainly, but our focus is on, and we feel, look, there was, we told the story before, but in I think it was around 1994, but in the early 90s, early to mid 90s, Project Hindsight was born. And what they began doing was they began translating all of Vaticus Valen's untranslated texts. And there was so many, there still is, but they're they did their best, and they, it's expensive, and all these fucking people volunteered and donated and all this other stuff. And they ended up uncovering some of the most important and wildly accurate timing techniques that were just lost until that moment, gone from astrology entirely. What they also did is they uncovered how the ancients, Vaticus Valens and how Vedius Valens, fuck the guy Valens, how Valens, right, and so on, how they practiced, which was whole sign. And this is a very interesting thing, because people didn't know, there was no definitive. They knew whole sign houses, and I won't bore you with what that is.
This is a bit much.
But it changed astrology forever, and it made it a much richer and deeper experience for both the astrologer and for.
Yeah, so a lot of people are reading and learning astrology from books that were written in the 70s, after like the 60s, like Age of Aquarius movement and all of this woo-woo return to the earth commune stuff happened, right?
Yeah.
Astrology had a big a boost in popularity, and they were writing all of these books and sharing all of this knowledge, but it was all modern astrology that was completely severed from the ancient sources. And it wasn't until the 1990s that they translated all of that and made it available to astrologers. So now there's this big renewal to sort of practice ancient astrology foremost, right? Because now we have the knowledge we didn't have back then. Yeah,
we have zodiacal releasing, we have perfections, we have all these wonderful timing techniques that were otherwise lost forever and are relatively new to us now. They're still like only 30 years old,
But the reason why I like the concept of the Fountainhead so much as a name for an astrology, practice, Carl Jung he's really informative about exactly what we do when we talk about the planetary influences on us. Most of it happens in the subconscious, and the subconscious is always bringing images and symbols up for you to sort of reconcile and understand and hopefully logically discern and incorporate into your life.
Yeah.
And all of that comes up the way that Carl Jung describes it. It's like a wellspring. It's like a fountainhead that pushes all of these images up like rising water into your conscious perception,
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's such a great analogy of what astrologers do. Is they're like, here's a symbol that's being shown to you. How are you going to understand what that symbol means for you in your life and your direction, right? Like, yes, the astrological chart is a map of your predestiny, but like none of it is clear. It's all it all has to be interpreted. And so astrology readings are like an interpretive art form where we just sort of like read the waters, It's an interesting practice, and I think that it's
no different than, I think it's the mothership of, divinity based oracle work. Like, I think they all point, I think like it's the source. I think astrology is the fountainhead of all divine things, all divine oracles. Like, I think that whether it's tarot, whether it's I Ching, whether it's tea leaves, whether it's the rustling of the tops of oaks, it's all, and you're reading these things, Nordic runes, all of this occult stuff is, I believe, born from astrology or ruled by astrology. That's my personal belief. I believe that the soul of our existence is expressed through the configuration of our galaxy. I believe that every fucking thing happening in this galaxy is in part responsible for my existence and for my daily experience. Just my personal belief. And I got that from astrology.
It's so weird because I'm such a skeptic all the time. I don't really know what I believe. I just know that it's like a practice. I see it so much more like a philosophy than a belief system. You know? I'm like, if I apply these principles and I look for these sorts of signs and cues, then I will lead a life that is more aligned with what I'm trying to do and what I should be doing than if I don't. So it's just like a philosophy I practice. I don't know that I necessarily ever put it in the context of belief. It's interesting that you do.
I only term it in beliefs in terms of like my relationship with it, in terms of what I feel of it, you know, like either I reject or I don't reject astrology, right? So that's how I look at it. I actually am of the belief that astrology doesn't require anybody's belief or any participation whatsoever. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying we're all parts in a fucking clock, in a big clock that's ticking one fucking second at a time, and it's made up of all the mechanisms, you know, and we are part of we're cogs in the wheel, if you will, right? And so we're affected by everything around us, and that's pretty much how I feel. And why I think that astrology is really just kind of the mother of all philosophy, you know? The mother of all philosophy, I believe, is born from the interactions of and the transits of these planets and the way in which they wildly represent the energy and experience on this planet. It is wild. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy.
It is super neat how like all throughout cultures, all throughout the world, like any culture that has developed independently as a polytheistic culture where they have several gods, that they tend to fit into these molds of these same, like what we call the planets, like, you know, like African deities like Orishas, right? They have one that's like Venus and that's like Taurus, and they have one that's like Mars and that's like Aries, you know? Like it all just kind of fits, and it keeps fitting throughout all of these different cultures.
It's wild.
Maybe it's not perfectly fit. Maybe they're not a total match, but it's just like it all mirrors and rhymes. It's really, I think it might just be part of our human condition coming up as opposed to something we're reading from without.
Yeah. Anyway.
I don't know.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get reading, or we'll never get through this fucking deposition. The Grammys were fun. I'm surprised Cosmic Urgency didn't show up to talk about the Grammys. Maybe he doesn't give a shit.
Dan said, Angela, you need an astrology Patreon.
Don't say a word about anything. Just shut your mouth.
Do I?
Just shut your mouth.
Maybe I do. I don't know what to do. I don't know. I'm so like I'm not exactly the self-starter type. If you could just write me and tell me exactly what I need to do, like step by step, that would be helpful.
Well, we're working on something we'll announce soon.
Okay, so I am looking for.
Let us begin. Should I do a little chat?
Yeah.
What do we got here?
What's in the chat?
Redemption is a joke. We talked about that.
What?
JR not saying anything spoke volumes. Yeah, I agree. He didn't say anything.
It's a mistake. It's a mistake to not say anything. Because you can make Dukes of Hazzard references and align with your country album buyers all the same. You know?
It's true.
You can be like, don't tread on me, and be talking to them all the same and still be making a statement.
Delicate said that Mayhem is a great album, and that's it. You know, like it doesn't even have to be that, you know, her old stuff or whatever. I don't really give a shit. Maybe this is her masterpiece. I don't know. All I can tell you is that Abracadabra just fucking put a spell on me. I love Always Remember Us This Way. I don't know what that is, but I'll look it up. And You and I don't know if those are off the record. But I have to check that out.
Okay.
Hang on.
I am oriented. I found where I was. I'm back.
It's also more than a little offensive to dodge a question about immigrants and oppression and use Jesus as the deflection. Pretty sure Jesus would be on the side of poor people and neighbors. I mean, according to
the story of Jesus's birth was one where he was exiled and had to be born in a manger. Pretty sure we're pretty clear on what the story about him.
And was you know, how do I put this? Right, the three wise men. You know.
Yes, it's a very
they were astrology.
Care for the immigrants.
There were astrologers,
yes.
But there were astrologers also.
Mm-hmm.
They followed the North Star. They followed a morning or a rising star, which was his course. But that's astrology, baby. Junk Farm. It's also. Oh yeah. That was it. Yeah. You know. I don't know. Fucking people, bro. I don't get it.
What are you saying?
We talked about all that. Appalachia went from bootleggers to bootlickers way too quickly. Erica.
Yeah, I don't know that they. I think that it's part of like the psychological operation to try and transform them into it. But I think that people who live there are never going to be convinced otherwise.
Their fucking ancestors are rolling in the grave every time they put up their back the blue sign. I promise you that.
I think they understand that the fight between labor and corporate interests has is very strong, and still they still have that accessible to them, even if they're.
My big problem with everything is with all of this is that it's all being done with the, you know, like look at Donald Trump and his fucking Jesus thing. This is the thing this is the problem I have with Jesus in general, is that it allows people like, you know, that religion will allow a person like Donald Trump to come in and totally make a mockery of the whole fucking thing. He literally created Bibles with his fucking name in them. Like, he's a fucking weirdo, right? And he's exploiting religious people. That guy's never read a fucking stitch of the Bible. That I am 100% sure
This has happened throughout
Although
history,
I have no actual proof of that, and this is only my opinion, and for entertainment purposes
This has happened
only.
throughout history, though, like the Spanish Inquisition. Like my ancestors were.
Okay, but I'm just saying.
My own ancestors were directly brutalized as a result of that entire.
I get it, but back then,
and the fight with Catholicism.
I get it, but back then, you know, information had a different path. Nowadays, it's a completely, you know, we have the opportunity to see a shyster as the shyster unfolds. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yet, you know, that they're still, and this is the thing about like, you know, this so-called deflection of Jesus. It is speaking to, and this is what I meant by him in general in his speech. It's just speaking to the constituents. It's not speaking to the people. You know, like the whole thing about Jesus. I read the Bible, by the way. I'm not a believer. I read the Bible from cover to cover. So I'm not speaking out of full total ignorance. I didn't read it more than once. I didn't find the need, but I did read it the one time.
Do you want to move on from this?
And okay, well, that was right in the middle of what I was saying.
Oh, I don't know whether
we'll just move on.
Continue for a while or not.
All right, let's go. Angela's putting her foot down.
No, I didn't know whether you wanted to continue talking to folks in the chat, but I thought that was.
I was going to finish what I was going to say, but now I don't even remember, so it doesn't matter.
Did you want to?
You took it all away.
Did you want to continue with the chat?
You stole from me my thoughts.
I didn't want to continue.
Just because it didn't please you. There might have been somebody out there being pleased by it.
Yeah.
And sitting there going, yeah, right. And then you went and emptied our balloon.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be rude.
We're going to move on.
Are we?
Yes.
Okay. We don't have to. I feel bad now.
Nope. Let's hear from the real Jesus.
You mean Justin Baldoni?
Just Jesus Baldoni.
Okay. So where I left off in the depositions last time was...
By the way, Edie Robb used to call Artie Robb Jesus.
Okay. Why?
I don't know. Because he was the...
Why would she do that?
She was called him baby Jesus.
She would call him the baby Jesus?
Yeah, she'd say he was Jesus.
This is a Jewish family?
Yeah.
Well, that's adorable.
I know, it's kind of weird. Just like, well, didn't Jesus kind of betray the Jews? I don't know. What's going on?
Thanks for that piece of information,
Just
Dale.
letting you in on it.
What?
Just letting you in on it. Giving you some of the backstory.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yes.
Last time we were in the depositions, he was being led through the script by Blake Lively's attorney, Gottlieb. Okay?
Okay.
And then, so he was asked about gratuitous sex scenes. Okay.
Yes.
The last question that we left off.
Which are awesome.
They're the best kind.
I love that. Give me more gratuitous
Gottlieb
sex
asked,
scenes.
would adding a sex scene not in the book be considered gratuitous? And Baldoni answers, no, because none of the sex scenes that were in the movie as they currently exist were ever in the book in the way that they are.
So he's gonna hang his hat on that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, good luck.
Gottlieb continues, if you flip to page 81 of the script, okay, do you see A69? And that is a reference to, in quotes, Aria Hotel Penthouse Suite Night. Baldoni says yes.
Yeah.
And this was the wedding night for Ryle and Lily. He says yes. And you see towards the end of that, it's written, and he's reading this quote from the script, as the two climax at the same time, they lock eyes and cannot help but smile, baffled that they found each other. He says yes. I thought you were going to react to that.
Well, I'm having it internally. I'm bleeding.
As a filmmaker,
Yeah.
do you know what you would do with a scene that includes, as the two climax at the same time, they lock eyes and cannot help but smile, baffled that they found each other?
Yeah. I mean, I know what he's going for. Do you know what he's going for?
Yeah,
I know what
I
he's going
can
for.
picture it.
Yeah, you can picture it.
I don't
So
know how I can picture baffled that they found each other.
it would be a laugh, right? So it would be like this, like sort of like almost.
But then watching it, you'd be
incredulous-
like, so what's funny?
Incredulous mixed with a little
This
exacerbation.
is the thing, baffled that they found each other in the context of locking eyes and smiling.
Like how could
they
we both
climax at the
orgasm
same
at the
time.
same time together?
He wanted to film her having an orgasm and him having an orgasm
At the same time,
in like a studio film.
like 9.5 weeks. Well, it happens in studio films too, but
Does that happen in studio films?
yeah, I
Or
mean,
do
that's
you
happened.
Just get to see like
Bro.
a montage of like sexy kissing and whatever, and then they're cuddling in bed afterwards.
there's been some racy stuff in movies for sure, and but that's not the point. The point is that those movies, well, first of all, everything in context, so we don't know when they were. It depends on what you're talking about. If it's like that, whatever 9.5 weeks, for example, that was during a time when I think a lot of women were living a pretty. Women were living dangerously amongst men in the industry.
I just remembered
Back in the day.
an officer and the gentleman has one of the most explicit sex scenes I've ever seen in my life.
For sure.
And it is very like love-makey, like intimate and really beautiful, but it's extremely explicit.
It's explicit. And it's, by the way...
So I understand now how this sort of thing could be done.
And what's interesting about that one in particular is that Deborah Winger and
Richard
Gere
Gere
hated each other. Basically, they hated each other.
And it's so believable.
They
in
did
the
not
movie.
want anything to do with each other, and their love story is profoundly effective. As a kid, I was inspired by that love story.
Yeah.
And they fucking couldn't stand each other.
But they burn it up on the screen.
Burn it.
And I can't believe that they didn't like each other.
It's a perfect example that I would like, if it was admissible, I would take it into, I put that in my briefcase in this case, if I were Gottlieb at all, because like, that's like a real deal. Like they fucking, because, people want to try to distinguish, and they've said this before about their chemistry on Baldoni and Blake Lively. They've been talking about, oh yeah, she's biting his lip and all this other stuff. Listen, motherfucker. They're playing the role.
Yeah.
They're playing the role, right? And when there's a love scene, a sex scene that she knows she's going to play, she's going to play the role. Mm-hmm. She knows what it is. She knows how good she looks in these situations, or how to look good in these situations, and she's going to play to that in every possible way, because she too, with a big generous back end on that movie, wants it to work and wants it to work well. But, the fucking Officer and Gentleman is a great example of how two people can literally not stand each other and still fucking set it all ablaze when the cameras are rolling.
Yeah, I know. This is amazing.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Gottlieb's question is, whose idea was it to add, in quotes, the two climax at the same time? And Baldoni says it was Christy Hall. Question, when did she communicate that to you? And Baldoni says, we did it. We were writing together. We were in a room in my office. We were specifically working on a lot of sex scenes, and we... Sorry, he got interrupted, but
Working on a lot of sex scenes?
Yes, we were working on a lot of the sex scenes.
A lot of the sex scenes.
And he got interrupted by the attorney, but he continues. And we were writing a movie that was filled with romance and lust and intimacy and sex. And again, these are all
raw, hard.
The book isn't exactly that filled. I mean, like Colleen Hoover herself has said, like there's like 3 sex scenes. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you don't. It's not like that's how these books work. You got to build up to shit. You don't just like start with porn.
We were writing a movie that was filled with romance and lust and intimacy and sex. And again, these are all outlines, right? So a script has far less description than a book. So you have It Ends With Us, which has a ton of pages and very detailed descriptions of various scenes so that you can paint the picture in your mind. And all writers do, which I learned a lot in this process, is you have to give some sort of outline so that as you're reading the script, you have an idea of what's happening. And then you work out all the details once you start production, both the actress in accordance with what is standard for approval. And then after the actress with the intimacy coordinators to figure out what each of these things really mean. Okay, next question. Did you ever have a conversation with anyone else, cast, crew, production, on It Ends With Us, about Lily and Ryle climaxing together other than Christy Hall? And Baldoni says, I think I spoke about every single intimate sex scene with our intimacy coordinator. And he continues, and then eventually Miss Lively. Okay, the attorney restates it. So Miss Hall, your intimacy coordinator, and then Miss Lively. And he says, yes. Do you ever recall having a conversation? Do you recall having a conversation with Miss Lively about this specific line here? And Baldoni says, I don't recall it being about this specific line. Do you recall having any conversation of do you have any recollection? I'm sorry.
Come on, Angela.
Do you have any recollection of having a conversation with Miss Lively about the scene in which you discussed you and your wife? And Baldoni says, I remember a conversation not discussing a scene where I brought up my wife, yes. And Gottlieb says, and what do you recall bringing up? Baldoni says, and this is long, he says, the day before I had a meeting with the intimacy coordinator to go over ideas for all of these scenes, I wrote down a bunch of notes from that meeting. The following day, I had a meeting set with Miss Lively to specifically talk about the sex scenes. That was the actual point of the meeting. At that meeting, I read through and walked through the notes that I had discussed with the intimacy coordinator in Lively's absence, which is unhelpful. Okay?
Yeah.
One of them was an idea that had come up where Ryle and Lily were making love. Lily had climaxed or had an orgasm, to speak frankly here, and Ryle did not. And the idea, as the intimacy coordinator and I were talking about things that women have not seen on camera yet, things that would be unique, that would be attractive to the female gaze, which was the purpose of that meeting, the idea was that Ryle would then stop and say, in quotes, just watching you was enough, or I'm good, or something like that. When I shared that with Miss Lively, she then made it personal and said, quoting, oh God, that would mortify me if that happened to me. To which I then responded, as one does, because when you're 2 grown adults with children who are married in the context of talking about sex scenes, with a movie that you're making about a person who is understanding that there are going to be sex scenes in a book based with a lot of sex scenes in it, the only thing you really have to share are personal experiences. So I said...
Move to strike!
So I said, and he's quoting himself, oh, well, some of the most beautiful moments have been when that's happened with me and my wife. And that was it. Did you see how he had to preface it all? Where he was like, obviously, this is the only context in which to see this. He says, the only thing you really have to share are personal experiences.
That's not true.
That's not true.
First of all, I can share my personal experiences through fictional method. Yeah, I do it all the time in my writing. Do you know what I mean? Like I wrote this story called Buried in This Town, right?
Yeah.
And
I love that story. I can't wait to write it.
It's a story about a screenwriter who was blacklisted from Hollywood. He writes a screenplay that his agent is blown away by and knows that it would be a big hit, but he's blacklisted, so they decide to change his name. Mm-hmm. So the fucking his agent just changes his name and sends the script out, and the movie star who blacklisted him, he gets his hands on the script, loves it, and wants to make it. Mm-hmm. And and then this guy, he's got to find a way to like, you know, it's kind of like, it turns into like a Tootsie Mrs. Doubtfire thing, Mrs. Doubtfire thing, where he's got to put on a bunch of prosthetics and become a totally different person and go to Hollywood and be blacklisted and work with his nemesis to make his movie. It's a brilliant fucking idea. It's a really great. I mean, brilliant is obviously over complimentary of my own stuff, but it's a fun thing. But in that story, the premise for the blacklist is, for those of you who read my book, is the peroxide scene in my memoir. So, you know, and so I would have explained, like, so if I were going to like pitch an idea, I could have easily been, I could pitch this idea, dude, what if this guy says, you know, that if you put peroxide on a butthole, it'll always fizzle, always, no matter what. And what if that turns into like a debate, and then somebody says, okay, well, I'll fucking prove it to you. And then they do. And then that somebody farts that peroxide into the face of his best friend.
You're spoiling the whole scene. Okay.
And never once did I mention who it was.
Okay. I don't understand how you're making a point about this.
Because he doesn't have to talk about it as his fucking personal experience.
Oh, I see. He doesn't have to talk about his own wife. He says the only thing you really have to share are personal experience. So I said, oh, well, some of the most beautiful moments have been when that's happened with me and my wife. And you're saying like it's really, really easy to, what's the word? To make anonymous, right? To anonymize the story so that she's not learning something extremely personal about you and your wife's sex life. You know?
God.
Like, you fucking bonehead. That's what makes it uncomfortable.
I love that he did this whole fucking story, and the only answer that matters, and this would be a situation where you're going to move to strike all the way down, because none of that stuff is relevant. Nobody asks you why.
He says the only thing you really have to share are personal experiences, but just in the last breath, he was talking about how he was discussing it with his female screenwriter and his female intimacy coordinator because he was really interested in the female gaze. Well, so what he's deliberately seeking what is not his own personal experiences in order to craft this.
Should be.
To craft this story in these scenes.
And then when he gets it, he tries to. And then when he actually gets what he's looking for from Blake Lively, he tries to characterize it as her making it personal because and it's so funny because like here's her she made it personal by saying, oh my God, that would mortify me or whatever.
Yeah, but she's not talking about her and her husband. You understand?
She's also not giving you any fucking details about anything.
She's not telling you. You don't know anything more about her intimate sex life with her own husband than you did before the conversation.
Exactly. And then he, as he does, or he seems to do, at least in this case, he just fucking doubles down and antes up.
I can't stand this dude.
I don't know. That wasn't probably the best language, but.
Okay, question. And so you were interested in shooting the scene from the female gaze? And Baldoni says, I was interested in shooting all the sex scenes from the female gaze. And this is probably my favorite question in the entire deposition. Did Miss Lively have a female gaze?
It's a perfect question.
What are you arguing with her for if that's what you're seeking as a female perspective on your ideas? Did Miss Lively have a female gaze? And Baldoni says, I would imagine so if she's female. And Gottlieb says, did you believe she had one? And he says, of course. Did you believe that gaze was important in incorporating ideas about how these various scenes should be shot? And Baldoni says, absolutely. That's why I incorporated all of Miss Lively's ideas without hesitation. Gottlieb says, and it's your testimony that when you say Miss Lively said she would be mortified, that you believe she was referring to. I'm sorry. And it's your testimony that when you say Miss Lively said she would be mortified, that you believe she was referring to. It's a strange sentence. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And Baldoni says, if that happened to her, were her words. Gottlieb says, if that happened to her in her personal life. And Baldoni says, yes, it was a personal comment. Like it was inferring that if her husband didn't finish, if she didn't finish her husband or climax her husband, that she would be mortified. And he continues, that's what she said. So she said, and he's quoting, oh, that would mortify me if it happened to me. And Gottlieb says, your recollection as you sit here today about a meeting that occurred in April of 2023. Your recollection as you sit here today about a meeting that occurred in April of 2023. I'm sorry, I don't understand why these aren't sentences. Baldoni says, I would imagine that's the date. Gottlieb said, okay, your recollection is that you specifically recall Miss Lively saying about herself personally she would be mortified if the events described in the scene happened to her in her personal life? And Baldoni says, yes, that's why I then shared what I shared. That was a very normal thing for Miss Lively. You are two adults, two professionals having a conversation, and one of the only things you have is your personal experience. So I didn't think anything of it. As an artist, he says all he has is his personal experience. And he's continuing to solicit the experiences of women around him so that he doesn't have to rely on his own personal experience until somebody asks him about it, about him and him misspeaking and sharing too much personal information that made those women uncomfortable. And then he says, all you have is your personal experience. It's like, no, buddy, you weren't working with your personal experience the entire time.
No.
But you're using it as a defense.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
It's absurd. He what he has is the source material.
This is interesting. Baldoni says, bless you. So maybe Gottlieb sneezed or somebody sneezed in the room. Gottlieb said, did you ever tell Miss Lively that Christy Hall was working with you on drafts of the script in April of 2023? And Baldoni says, my recollection, bless you. My recollection is that Miss Lively was on spring break and we didn't. I don't think we were in that much communication, but I don't know.
You don't know.
Questions.
No, you don't.
So you don't know if you ever told Miss Lively that one way or the other? And Baldoni says, I imagine I did because I oftentimes told her I'm not a writer and I was kind of in this position where I was having to write. Question. Okay, you imagine you did, but earlier we talked about it's your recollection that matters. So do you have a recollection? And Baldoni says, I don't have a specific recollection of a conversation where I said to Miss Lively that Christy was helping me. Okay, but you did tell her that you had worked on ideas for these scenes with an intimacy coordinator, and Baldoni says that was the entire context of the meeting we had at her place. And who was the intimacy coordinator? Baldoni says Lizzie Talbot. Did you read Miss Talbot's deposition transcript in this case? And Baldoni says no. Have you ever talked to Miss Talbot about her recollection of any of the events relating to the script or production in this case? And he says no. Gottlieb said, okay, I think it's about lunchtime. Okay, why don't we go off the record? Sorry.
I am kind of hungry.
Yeah, is it lunchtime for you?
Yeah.
All right, they're back.
Ooh, and I'm feeling great.
Gottlieb's next question. Did there come a time in May of 2023 where you learned that Jenny Slate and Miss Lively had made concerns known regarding comments that you had made on the set? And Baldoni says, in May of 2023, I believe, yes. Who told you about Miss Slate and Miss Lively's concerns? Ange Gianetti. And he says, Alex Sachs. Gottlieb's asking separately or together? And Baldoni says, separate conversations. Question. With Miss Gianetti, was that conversation in person? And he said, no. On the phone? Yes. How about Miss Sachs? He said on the phone. Okay, what do you recall Miss Sachs telling you about Miss Slate's concerns? And Baldoni says, I recall her having lunch with Miss Slate and saying that Miss Slate, she listed a few things. She said Miss Slate had not appreciated the recording that I had made during pre-production with her and Miss Lively. She had not appreciated a comment that I had made on set regarding her wardrobe, something she was wearing. I believe she also said that Miss Slate didn't like that I was interacting with fans outside. There was a lot of fans when we were shooting, and then on certain breaks I would just go and just say hi to them because they were out there all day. And if I recall correctly, she was saying to Miss Sachs that she didn't want to be asked to go out and do that as well because she was a private person. So she was asking to be asked to interact with fans. I don't know if it was Alex or Ange who told me that she felt the set was too huggy or comfortable or whatever. I know huggy was a word that was used because I remember the word. That's the best of my recollection at the moment. Question. So between Miss Sachs and Miss Gianetti, you were told that Miss Slate thought the set was too huggy? Yes? And Baldoni says, you asked me about just Miss Sachs, so I was just answering for Miss Sachs. And Baldoni says, Gottlieb's next question is, I thought you just said you weren't sure if it was Miss Sachs or Miss Gianetti that said that. And Baldoni said, oh no, I thought your original question was to recount what Miss Sachs told me. If I misheard that, I thought you were breaking the two up. And the attorney says, that's fine.
No, fool.
And he's right. He's recalling that correctly because that's what the attorney asked specifically for Miss Sachs. Okay. Gottlieb continues, did Miss Gianetti's description of Miss Slate's concerns differ in any material respect to you? And Baldoni said slightly. In what way? Baldoni said, I specifically recall a further answer to your question. It was a FaceTime with Miss Giannetti. Baldoni says it was not a phone call. Okay, so what do you recall that's different? Baldoni says, what's different is that Miss Giannetti had told me that she had asked Miss Slate if she wanted to file a report, if she wanted her to do something with it. And that was not something that Alex had said anything about, to which Miss Slate said no. Miss Giannetti had also said on that call that when Miss Slate had said that I had commented on her wardrobe and used the word sexy, that Miss Giannetti asked if she felt it was sexual or if I was hitting on her, and she said no, it wasn't sexual. She just didn't appreciate it. That's how, in my recollection, and I believe it was from Miss Giannetti that I had heard that Miss Slate didn't appreciate the way that Jamie or Mr. Heath had offered to pay for her additional housing, as he was talking about the sanctity of motherhood, and I wasn't there, so I don't know, but she didn't like that, I guess. Okay, question. And so before, when you were testifying about what Miss Sachs told you, you had mentioned a comment about the wardrobe. That comment about a wardrobe included the use of the word sexy, and Baldoni says correct. And your testimony is that comment was about the wardrobe choice? Baldoni says, I don't think that's what I said. Okay. We'll get back to your description of that in just a moment. Gottlieb continues, am I correct that in response to receiving this information from Miss Sachs and Miss Giannetti, you sent a message to Miss Slate?
In a bottle?
Baldoni says,
In a bottle?
Yeah. Baldoni says, well, this was the first I had heard about it. Miss Slate had not come to me directly, and I felt terrible, and I wanted to apologize. But I also didn't want to burden her with that or make her uncomfortable, and so I thought it would be best, based on the kind of the power dynamic and the awkwardness of it, to actually send it to Alex so that I didn't have to, force her to accept my apology or something. So I was just trying to be respectful. And so, yes, I sent Alex a message to send to Miss Slate. Question. And you didn't want to make Miss Slate uncomfortable by sending her a message directly? And he said yes. Which is really interesting, because that is very considerate. That's a person who is definitely thinking about the other person.
I don't think that
he's thinking a couple steps ahead in that and being considerate of not putting them in a bad spot. And I don't know where this guy is in the rest of this entire conflict.
Well, he's I think he's got this weird sort of dynamic about him where he knows what's right and he knows what's wrong.
Yeah.
And so and this is what makes this whole thing reprehensible, because, we all know, when he was sitting there and lying directly through that testimony a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
He knew. I mean, it seemed wildly apparent in his answers that he was lying. Mm-hmm. And so that's what makes this whole thing so bad, is because he's doing it conscientiously. He's not doing it, he's not doing it out of ignorance or.
Yeah, you only lie if you don't want to admit what you've done.
Yeah, it's willful.
Yeah. Okay, question. And that's because you understood that Miss Slate was already uncomfortable in certain respects? And Baldoni says, well, I understood that since she had shared that she had not appreciated some of my behavior. As soon as I was aware of it, I didn't want to add to that in any way. So I wanted to send it to her so I didn't create any more discomfort. And that's really interesting, because do you remember that the reason why Jamie Heath ever went to Blake Lively's trailer that day, her makeup trailer, was because they were discussing, he wanted to discuss the sexual harassment claims, the complaints that she'd had. So here Baldoni is saying, I didn't want to talk to Jenny Slate any further because I didn't want to make her more uncomfortable and put her in a bad spot. Yeah. But Jamie Heath was not thinking like that. He went barged into her trailer when he was uninvited, because he was intending to talk about complaints she had, which ended up becoming another complaint. So it just seems like Baldoni is a lot better at dealing with these sorts of things. I think the problem is that he relies on Jamie Heath to deal with things for him, and he keeps fucking it up. Yeah. Are you okay? Should I continue?
Please do.
Okay.
Well, let me go to the chat for just 1 second. SC says, I feel Justin was somewhat hitting on her by telling her that he has pleasured women in the past while foregoing his own orgasm. That, to me, that is all that is all grooming.
I don't know why you would boast about your sexual prowess with your partner, with somebody who you're going to be doing sex scenes with in make-believe town, unless you're hoping that there are also real sex scenes eventually.
I don't think that there's ever been a time in my life that I've ever spoken about my personal sex life in any context like that, ever. Like there's just no gateway for it. Like, you know,
Either, man.
I've written and been a part of writing dozens of screenplays, and with countless sexual scenarios you can't even possibly imagine.
But that's not based on your personal experience, like he's saying, you know?
Or even if it was, I've never revealed that.
I know.
Like, I mean, I wrote a memoir revealing the peroxide in the butthole thing, but I've never, like, I would have never, if I wasn't so pissed off at him calling me a fucking liar, I would have never shared that with the world. You know?
I wonder whether this is a result of his, he's like a brand new baby when it comes
Justin?
to. Yeah, well, so, okay, I'm specifically talking about how in his memoir he talks about how he saved himself for marriage.
Yeah.
But it turns out that he was in college before he ever had like intimate relations with a date or partner or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is probably one of the things that you sort of work out early on, is that you get you experience some sort of punishment socially from being messy and not being discreet in your sex life. And I feel like most people learn really early on that it works out way better when you keep all of your shit real private.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And maybe he didn't have that like nice early learning where you get to like screw up a few times and it doesn't really have to affect your life. But he is just like a loudmouth, like a blabbermouth about his private life, and it's getting him to all this trouble. I don't know, man.
He's the overshare. He's the overshare guy.
I know.
But he also, like, I truly believe that even if it's unconscious at this point, I believe that through his whole life, because these are characteristics I recognize. I've seen them in others. Like, I've seen them in action. Like, you go in and, you know, like, as a young kid, he talked about how when he was younger, he had no scruples, basically.
What does that mean? Scruples?
You know, he was, like, unscrupulous. He was, you know, not knowing when to lay off, and, you know, not taking no for an answer.
Oh, yeah.
Respecting people and blah, blah, blah.
He says, I'm sure I've crossed boundaries in my teens and 20s. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro?
But that was also a time then where, especially if he was considered a good-looking guy who did relatively well with the girls, that would also be a time where he established his patterns of hitting on women, of what works, what doesn't work, so on and so forth. And I would not doubt at all if he found that, you know, speaking about, or at least in his own mind, he thought that speaking about his own personal experiences, speaking about his penis, speaking about like these different topics, that they were door openers. They were just door openers. Yeah. And they're kind of like, and also planted seeds. Like, I'll tell you that I'm circumcised in this inadvertent way when I first meet you, so that you can imagine my penis.
Oh, exactly. Well,
do you know what I mean? And like, I mean, that sounds crass and crude, but why is he sharing that?
I have no idea.
After only just meeting this woman. And to me, it's because he wants this woman to think of his penis.
I think like subconsciously, right? He's like, he cannot limit the exposure of his own like subconscious thoughts, which is, she's really hot, I would love to get naked with her or something. Maybe all of this this word vomit, these confessions and stuff that keep coming out, and he has to keep like stuffing it back in, you know, and making excuses for it, is because he really does feel this way. Yeah. It's almost like a Freudian slip where he was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just described my penis. It's because he wants her to see it.
Yeah. I don't think it's a Freudian slip at all. I think he has intention. I believe that he has intention, but I think that it's.
But you think it's like
the point I was making is that it becomes
it's
unconscious at this point.
Oh, that's why I was calling it a Freudian slip.
I see what you're saying, but I don't think that's a Freudian slip. I think it's just this I think it's a skill in his own mind. You know, those dudes that are like, you know, they write their like how to pick up a woman at a bar book.
Oh, even if she's married, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, that kind of shit. Yeah. Like, you know, those dudes, those guys who are like they have like they have like courses.
Pickup artists.
Pickup artists, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I think that, you know, he has his method. And I think a part of his method, and I'm just saying this obviously hypothetically and, you know, speculatively, because I can't possibly know anything about him beyond what appears to be his behavior. And if this motherfucker is in a pattern of telling people about his penis, telling a beautiful woman, married woman at that, about his penis, I don't care what the circumstances are, You know, you're finding doors to open, right? If you're doing that, if you're, you know, and the rest of the shit, if this is your fucking pathway of...
Regardless of what his intentions were and what he planned to do or what he was trying to, like, whether he was grooming her for some sort of opening or whatever, the fact that he spoke like this leaves it open for us to interpret maybe that might be a motivation. And this is why it's so damaging for him to even talk like this at all. If he had just kept, like, a tight ship... you know,
Yeah.
If he had been like a very mature person and only talked about business like he's fucking supposed to,
a boss, a friendly, kind, considerate boss,
right? Then nobody would be able to make assumptions about why the hell are you acting this weird way.
I wonder if when he did the course this year, first, because he said it was like a 2025, I should say.
Oh my god!
I wonder if when they did that, they were like, okay, we're gonna put a new scenario. There's a couple of new scenarios in the course that we just put in there.
Very instructive.
We're just like
just pay attention.
Multiple choice. Is it correct or is it correct or incorrect to speak about your circumcision status with employees
at a work meeting
or co-workers during working hours? That's a yes or no question. Just go ahead and
I know.
Put the one you think is the right answer. Go ahead.
Okay.
Would you?
All right. Last question. And that's because you understood Miss Slate was already uncomfortable in certain respects. The question about why he didn't want to send her an email directly with his apology. Baldoni says, well, I understood that since she had shared that she had not appreciated some of my behavior, as soon as I was aware of it, I didn't want to add to that in any way. So I didn't. So I wanted to send it to her. So I didn't send it to Alex Sachs, I guess. So I didn't create any more discomfort. And Gottlieb said, any more discomfort? And Baldoni said, yes, correct. Okay. And you were also informed about Miss Lively's discomfort as well, correct? And Baldoni says, not from Miss Sachs, from Ange Giannetti. Gottlieb said, let's bracket that and come back to it. Let's continue on Miss Slate for a moment. I want to show you a document. This will be Exhibit 26. Mr. Baldoni, you've been handed what's been marked as Exhibit 26. And this is a text exchange between you and Alex Sachs. Is that correct? And he says it appears to be. The date is May 30th, 2023. So they've been filming for 2 weeks. Is that correct? He says yes. Okay, and do you see at the bottom of this page at 9:46 p.m., you ask Miss Sachs if you can send your notes to Jenny. If you can send your notes to Jenny and Blake. He says, I do. And then do you see on the next page, you send 2 draft notes to Miss Slate and Miss Lively. He said, I do. You send them to Miss Sachs, draft notes to Miss Slate and Miss Lively, and he's agreeing. Okay, and in the note to Miss Slate that you're asking Miss Sachs to send, you say, and he's reading, this is a quote of Baldoni's, I recognize the last few days of filming have been difficult, but I wanted you to know that the work is really great and I'm excited for what we're creating. Gottlieb is asking, were you being straightforward and truthful when you said that the last few days of filming have been difficult? And Baldoni said, yes, and now he's reading. Baldoni says, I said, first off, thank you for putting your all into the film. And then I said, and Baldoni's quoting himself, I recognize that the last few days of filming have been difficult. So that was, they were difficult, so I was being truthful, of course. Gottlieb says, those last few days have been challenging on the set, and Baldoni says, every day on a movie set is honestly challenging, but those few days, yeah, there were a lot of big challenges those few days, production-wise. Gottlieb says, and then you say, and he's reading Baldoni's quote, equally important is that I was made aware of your concerns. I wanted you to know they are fully received. I hear you and adjustments will be made accordingly. And Gottlieb continues, and your reference there is to your concerns. And your reference there to your concerns. Are those the concerns that you had just listed out to me that you had been relayed from Miss Sachs and Miss Giannetti? And Baldoni says, correct. The ones involving myself, yes. Are there any other concerns as you sit here today that you can think of that you could have been referring to other than the ones you just testified about? And Baldoni says, specifically, I was answering your question as it related to Jenny Slate, so if you're talking about concerns in general, and he trails off, Gottlieb says, what I'm talking about is your reference here to your concerns. And all I'm trying to understand, sir, is if other than what you just testified to, there's anything else you can think about that you were referring to when you wrote your concerns. And Baldoni says, I would go back to a previous question, and then I would include a concern that wasn't, I don't think, mentioned to me from Alex. But if you're asking if I was inferring anything, there was an instance that happened with Miss Lively on set as well, where I used the word sexy in relation to wardrobe that Miss Slate was there for. So I would lump that into the overall concerns. Gottlieb says, and you knew that Miss Slate was concerned about that comment as well to Miss Lively? And Baldoni says, Miss Slate and I had a conversation with Miss Lively about that comment. Okay, and Miss Slate told you that she did not appreciate or feel comfortable with that comment? And Baldoni says, I don't believe those were the words she used. What were the words she used? Baldoni says, I don't have the exact words, but
Neither does fucking Gottlieb, fool.
Yeah. It had to do with, in general, it's like we are the collective. We are staying away from using those words to describe, women's bodies. It's like Miss Slate is a very funny woman, kind of disarming, joking kind of way, but it wasn't your words. So do you get what he's saying there?
Yeah, he's scared shitless of the line of questioning.
No. He's saying that Miss Slate was like,
I know Miss Slate
don't use those words.
Yeah,
we don't objectify women's bodies.
Right. Especially in the workplace.
Yes.
In general, but especially in the workplace.
Gottlieb says, do you think that was Miss Slate's female gaze? And Baldoni says, do I think her words? And then Gottlieb continues, objection to describing her wardrobe as sexy would constitute her female gaze on that particular situation? And Baldoni said, yes. Do you have a different gaze from your male perspective? And Baldoni says, I don't know if it's possible that I can have a different gaze as a male, so I'm sorry.
So you should direct the film in a female gaze because that's your commitment.
I know, isn't it?
He doesn't make any sense, bro. He should be making Pac-Man movies, obviously.
Well, the person who, apparently there's like a film professor who talks about the female gaze in film. She gives talks about it. It's like she's the person who basically coined the term and is considered an expert. And she cites several male filmmakers who achieved this to make a female gaze sort of movie. So I don't subscribe to the whole, you can't make a movie about something unless it's your lived experience, I definitely feel like,
hey, listen, if you're saying there, if your goal is to manifest the female gaze out of yourself as an artist, I love it. I love the challenge.
Yeah. For Baldoni, it's a fucking skill issue, right? He can't do it because he's not capable. But
that's not, but what he said was
his,
if I have an artistic objective to obtain, to achieve, right? What could be considered as close as possible a female gaze, if that's my objective as an artist, that's an exercise. That's something I could jump into in a second. His objective that he claimed for this movie was that it was told through is the operating word here, and I believe that's his word.
Yeah. Through
the female gaze. Those are two different things. Me achieving the female gaze as a writer, that's a goddamn achievement. Him trying to accomplish something through the female gaze while he's standing in the way of that is an obstacle to his own so-called objective.
He could have succeeded. He just doesn't because he sucks.
So somebody brought up an interesting little point that I wouldn't mind tackling real quick because Jacqueline, who I'm just so glad is here because I just love to see her every time, says, I wish that she didn't agree to the movie after the circumcision comment he made. He showed who he was then. I got to tell you, man, when you're saying, first of all, after seeing her agreement, there was so much.
Oh, her contract?
Dude,
oh my God.
This chick had a giant play.
Yeah.
She's
going to try and make
that
it
was
work.
That was the deal of a lifetime in terms of the. So in that situation, I can understand totally why she's like, all right, I'm going to eat this pill because first of all, maybe he didn't. You always give the benefit of the doubt in a budding relationship.
If it's just comments that she has to deal with, and this guy's kind of an oversharer, that's not really the worst thing that ever happened to anybody, right? So you got to work with somebody who's an oversharer. We've all experienced that.
No. I mean, I've worked with people who are like, come on, bro, you don't have to tell me that.
I know.
It's
annoying, but you get through it, You
didn't have to show me that picture, buddy. You didn't have to show me that picture. I saw it. I didn't want to. You see, I love you, man. Yeah. Remember the granny? Yeah. The granny porn. And then we have Gig 77, who appears to be quite supportive of Baldoni, says she should leave the movie, but did not want, but she did not. Who take the movie away from the director? So maybe English isn't the first language, which is totally cool, man. Fuck, I wish I could speak two languages at any degree of skill. So please don't take that as a slight. She could leave the movie, but she did not. No, she was getting paid millions of dollars. She had a massive back end. She didn't leave the movie in that moment because there was no reason to in that moment. And obviously she got to the point where she was going to, and I actually prefer somebody who's not going to get all martial on that shit and be like, oh, fuck it, I quit. You what? Guys, slap him, kick him out of the apartment. Like, what are we doing here? Mm-hmm. There's a you can sit down and like suss over a period of time everything out and not, jump to conclusions and make rash decisions. I would have considered that a rash decision, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
No, I think she did the right thing.
Yeah.
I think she did the right thing. And I think look, man, she's imperfect. This woman's imperfect. She puts her fucking foot in her mouth. I don't think she has any bad intentions. I just don't. I don't think that she looks at a situation and tries to figure out her best angle, regardless of how that affects others around her. I think everything that she gains, this is my personal opinion of her. This does not fucking have any basis in fact. But I from her, from what I've been able to glean out of all of this, she seems like the kind of person who is going to try to include everyone around her and bring them up with her through whatever she's going through.
Yeah.
And she knows she's a blessed person. She knows she's this power. She has this power in terms of, her position as an A-lister. She knows she has all these resources, tools, luck, and ability. And I truly believe that she tries to wave the magic wand around all the people around her who she believes, whether, she's got, the best point of view on this or not is entirely subjective, but who she believes is worthy of getting her magic dust,
This shows up in her astrology chart too. She's definitely a champion for other people. I think that that's something that she...
Yeah, it's clear.
I think her self-esteem is like revolves around like how much of a helper she can be to others. If anybody who has that many, she has like a whole crowd of planets in her second house, which is in Virgo. She's definitely like her skills and how she sort of orients herself in terms of her personal wealth, like what she can do for people, what she can bring out into the world, is definitely going to be oriented around her being a helper.
Yeah.
That's just how you end up when you have that kind of placements. Okay. So I'm not surprised that she wanted to stick it through, especially when she could benefit so much. Okay. Gottlieb says, so do you have a different gaze from your male perspective? And Baldoni says, I don't know if it's possible that I could have a different gaze as a male, so I'm sorry, I don't know what you're asking.
Are you a pervert?
Yeah, that's basically what he wants to ask. Gottlieb says, so Miss Slate, not you, would know from the female gaze the impact of having somebody say that you look sexy in a piece of clothing. And Baldoni says, that's not what I said to Miss Lively, but absolutely, Miss Slate would have a female gaze and I would not. Would Miss Lively have one? Baldoni says, as I said earlier, so long as Miss Lively identifies as a female, she would have a female gaze. I don't know if that's even true. Okay. Gottlieb says, okay, do you see...
Way to think it through, bud.
Were any of the concerns that were reported to you by Miss Slate provided to anyone in HR at Wayfarer Studios? And Baldoni says, to my knowledge, no. You did not report any of the concerns that Miss Slate had raised with you to anyone at the HR department at Wayfarer Studios? And he said, I did not. Gottlieb says, do you see that you've also written a note to Miss Lively here? And he says, I have. And you essentially use similar language here with respect to Miss Lively's concerns. Is that right? He said, yes. Gottlieb reads Baldoni's quote. You say, he says, I want you to know that I've been made aware of your concerns and I hear you. They are fully received and adjustments will be made imminently. Do you see that? He says, yes. And you say, and Gottlieb's reading Baldoni's quote, the dailies are looking wonderful, and while the last 2 days were tough, I assure you that your work is fantastic. Do you see that? He says, yes. And Gottlieb continues, and you say, and he's reading Baldoni's quote, I truly believe you're creating one of your most honest performances that will have a long-lasting and powerful impact.
Says Baldoni.
And it's true, right? Definitely had a very consequential impact on her life. Do you see that also? Baldoni says, I do. Were you being dishonest when you wrote this to Miss Lively? He says, no. You believed all of that? And Baldoni says, yes. You did not believe as of May 30th, 2023, that Miss Lively's concerns had been fabricated? And Baldoni says, the concerns, well, I don't think we've talked about her concerns yet, but... And Gottlieb says, the concerns to which you're responding here when you say, and he's reading Baldoni's quote, I have been made aware of your concerns, and I hear you. They are fully received and adjustments will be made imminently.
What are you talking about?
Gottlieb says, with respect to those concerns that you're saying that you've been made aware of and they are fully received and adjustments will be made imminently, those concerns were not fabricated, right? And Baldoni says, no. Just for reference, this is on page 194 and 195 of his second day of depositions.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys out there. Maybe it's if it's gig 777 or, all these. I mean, the guy just admitted.
He's not even making this argument.
He just admitted
okay.
that Blake Lively aired her concerns. That is tantamount to filing a complaint. Not only according to the CRD, but according to Wayfair's own their own HR policy.
It was his responsibility as a supervisor to file the HR complaint.
It was his responsibility. And so even if he decided that it wasn't, it was still his responsibility to address these issues to the satisfaction of all parties involved or file an HR complaint. So one of those two things had to happen.
So Gottlieb continues on page 195, says, you believe that Miss Lively communicated those concerns in good faith? And Baldoni says, I believe that the primary concern...
Oh, his fucking Friedman's like...
There was an objection from Shapiro, but it didn't. He didn't stop.
Oh, it was Shapiro, yeah.
Okay. Baldoni says, I believe that the primary concern, also being COVID, the reason that I was told she told Ange Giannetti is a very valid concern. I was made aware of that she also didn't appreciate the use of the word sexy, but also that I apologized in the moment. And in her own words, we were good because we had actually discussed this in person afterwards. The majority of the concerns that I took seriously had to do with the way the set was being run. She was very adamant when she spoke to Sony about the firing of the first AD. She wanted a change. So it was my understanding that the majority of the phone call with Miss Giannetti had to do with COVID and the firing of the first AD. And those were the concerns that I can recall being aware of, which I do not believe were fabricated, and that she had every right to feel the way that she felt. Remember, this is on May 30th is when these phone calls that he's being asked about happened. It was June 1st.
Yeah.
Right? Just like...
The strike.
No,
I'm sorry.
No. June 1st was when Blake Lively called a meeting to talk to Baldoni and Heath about these concerns, and they pipe up where they were talking about Heath showing her the nude video of his wife, and then all these other concerns start coming up in the meeting. So in Baldoni's own timeline document, he talks about how she made all of these SH allegations and concerns in that meeting, and he also doesn't say any of those were fabricated or false. He says that those are things she experienced. What they frame it as if she was overthinking things, but they don't deny that it happened and that she complained about it to her supervisor. So I don't know what his defense is. I don't know what case he has. He's making her case all over the place.
Manderley answered gig 777. Why didn't she leave? And Manderley's like, because she would get sued if she quit. And that's a really good point. Like, I don't know what I did read her agreement or most of it, so I don't know what out clauses she had, but I'm sure that if any of that hit the escrow, if that money hit the escrow, then she was engaged. This is the part of like her that people don't understand in terms of like this signed contract nonsense. Yeah, there's some value to a signed contract, and it does, and it will give certain people certain powers. You could say, in terms of any potential renegotiation, which is a part of the reason why she was holding out on the signature, because that producer credit wasn't resolved in her view. But she engaged the contract, so there was no part of her not signing the agreement that would have provided for her to not fulfill her end of the agreement.
Yeah, that's right.
The only part of not signing that agreement that gave her any power whatsoever was really ultimately on the credit negotiation, so that the credit, once signed, reflected producer PGA, not executive producer, which is largely considered a vanity credit when handed out to actors in big major role who are playing also, the major role in any particular movie.
Okay, let me continue. So Baldoni last said, so it was my understanding that the majority of the phone call with Miss Giannetti had to do with COVID and the firing of the first AD, and those were concerns that I can recall being aware of, which I do not believe were fabricated, and that Miss Lively had every right to feel the way she felt. Gottlieb said, including her concern with respect to your use of the word sexy. And Baldoni says, She has every right to feel that way about that word. But that was something that we worked through immediately on the spot.
That doesn't matter, bro.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't give it. That's your perspective. That's your perspective. Number one.
He made his own company vulnerable to civil litigation right there.
Right there. So he's right there. By the way, so let's put this in perspective, right? He 100% just admitted to sexual harassment in the workplace. Mm-hmm. He also admitted that the complaint was made in good faith, and that to his best knowledge, that he satisfied the complaint or remedied the complaint
without engaging his HR and the protocol that he has in place for sexual harassment.
As a chair, that might be possible. It didn't happen.
If he had, he wouldn't be in this situation.
It didn't happen.
Yeah.
So what he should have done for his own protection.
Yeah.
And this is where, again, this is like the problem is with Justin Baldoni and with Wayfarer Studios. He should have filed an HR complaint. That HR complaint, I don't know if anyone here has filed an HR complaint. I have. I can tell you that process goes through. You file it, it gets filed. They acknowledge that they got the filing.
If he had her in writing saying that was something that we worked through immediately on the spot, and everything's resolved and everything's cool, then she wouldn't have been able to bring it up in this litigation. Well, that would have protected his company.
Or it would have at least fortified his side of the story, which is that he was actively aware of problems on the set and actively try to remedy problems on the set according to the rules and regulations set forth in their policy and to the fucking laws that they abide by. So, obviously this guy is unaware of this responsibility that he had.
Okay, Gottlieb is digging in. He says, and I appreciate that, but to underscore the point, it's your testimony as you sit here today that Miss Lively's concern with respect to your use of the word sexy, that wasn't something she made up to take control of the film, right? And Baldoni says, I do not believe she made up the instance where I used the word sexy to describe specifically her wardrobe. No, I don't. That wasn't something she made up to take control of the film, right?
So now she's established in good faith that she filed HR complaints with a supervisor.
So there's no malice.
With a fucking supervisor, so there's no malice.
There's no defamation.
But it also paves the road that if they can prove retaliation, they have proof of sexual harassment.
Yeah. I don't know what his defense is supposed to be. I haven't heard it yet. Okay.
This is big, bro. That's fucking huge.
I know, it's a big deal. And Miss Slate's concerns were not made up so that Miss Lively could take control of the film, right? And Baldoni says no. I also can't speak to what Miss Lively's intentions were at the time.
Gig. Did you hear this? Because this is the shit you guys are talking about all the fucking time. He just said the allegations against Miss Slate were not motivated,
made up so that Miss Lively could take control of the film
by some ridiculous fucking idea that Blake Lively is trying to take over a movie. That's absurd. It was absurd then. It's absurd now.
Yeah. Maybe he's just fucking lying to everybody, guys. I don't know. Question. I want to show you. Did you ever talk to Miss Slate after sending this message? Did you ever talk to her about the situation or her concerns directly? And Baldoni says, I didn't feel it was appropriate to put her in that situation. So from that point on, I gave her high fives and complimented her on her work and didn't hug her and never used the word sexy again. From that point on, he could have been doing this from the beginning. He said, from that point on, I gave her high fives and I complimented her on her work, not her sexy body. Or her sexy wardrobe. And I didn't hug her, and I never used the word sexy again. Pretty simple, right? Okay. Gottlieb says, I want to show you a document. This is Exhibit 27.
So weird that he wasn't able to find himself in then some sort of secure reality, which was and this is again would have been the benefit of him doing following actual protocols, filing complaints, and then filing resolutions to those complaints. But because if he had that kind of artillery going into all of this, he could just be sitting calmly through it all and being like, look, we heard her complaints. We didn't think that they were violations according to our policies or according to the CRD, but we nonetheless took actions to mitigate any feelings of displaced feelings by Blake Lively as a result of anyone else's actions. Any kind of fucking small talk like that to save face, but also to lay the foundation for a defense. Like his idea of laying a foundation for the defense is to hire crisis PR, not to actually do the job at the time.
Of defending
at the time. The HR is not a department to help victims. It's a department to help the company deal with people fucking making claims against the company. It's there to protect the company, and he didn't fucking use it.
Okay. Gottlieb is showing Exhibit 27.
We should probably find a spot to go to chat.
Okay, I can stop now. I mean, if you don't want to.
Want to go to chat now? Because we're at almost 2 hours. Hey, just before we do go into chat, please check out the Patreon. I hope you'll consider joining. It's only $1 a month. Join the crew. Be a part of the crew. The crew's here every day. You know who you are. And I just hope that you'll join because I really want to build something great. Angela really wants to build something great. You guys have given us the inspiration to do that. Now we want your money. $1 a month. Help us build this thing. Not just with your presence, which is amazing, but with your actual hard-earned money. We would like to take the food out of your children's mouths.
Stop it. That's really what it feels like. This is why I have such an aversion to like crowdfunding or any of that stuff because I just feel like it's for some reason.
Skip the vacation. Just skip the vacation. You know, what were you going to buy yourself a nice tie or dress? Don't.
I just feel repulsed by the whole thing because it's like we're all collectively underneath the boot of capitalism. So like, why am I trying to exert that kind of pain on anybody else? You know, if everything we do could be like just free and everything could be like bartered and created together and shared and stuff, I'd be really happy. But we're stuck here.
Well, our plans are great, and the Patreon is going to get very exclusive content, and that's going to be for every crew member is going to have access to all of the content for a lousy $1 a month. So, not to belittle your money, because that $1 a month will give us the opportunity to do things like hire an editor and bring other people, including, by the way, paying for interviews. There's a lot of interviews out there we could get with like a lousy $500 here or $500 there. So it's just about creating enough cash flow to do that. So please check out the Patreon. We'll get to the chats now. But yeah, and even if you hate us, like gig, come on, give us $1 gig. What do you got? You got $1 in there. Give it to us. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Chat. You gonna do the chat?
Oh, I thought you were doing the chat.
No, man, you're the chat woman, bro.
All right.
You do the reading. You do you do everything.
I do everything.
I just sit there and fucking yell.
I'm the lifeblood of this show.
And my relationship, absolutely, in this relationship.
Okay.
Bobo says, I can't skip my kids. Hey, listen, you can. They don't need to eat 3 times a day. That's a fucking fallacy. They can eat 2 times a day and you can give us $1. Come on, Bobo.
That's a conspiracy by Big Grocery Store that we all have to eat.
You're being bamboozled.
Deanne said, yeah, because Blake Lively was required to perform her contract. There are penalties for not doing it.
Yeah, there's something built in there. There's obviously a threshold. There's probably some kind of threshold, but in all likelihood, she would be liable. Look, man, it's not always something. Remember, we have actually an example of this, and in the 11th hour, when Joaquin Phoenix walked out on the A24 film with what's his name, the guy who did the Joker.
Yeah, well, what sucks is that Joaquin Phoenix developed the script from the beginning.
It was his pitch.
It was his pitch. He brought the project to the guy, and then like days before they were set to begin filming, principal photography, he bounced. Yeah, and he was like, "Sorry, I can't do this."
He got scared. And he fucking bounced, and they were crewing up, they were casting, they were ready to go to production, and this motherfucker bailed, and he didn't get sued. And as a matter of fact, rumor has it that after Eddington, Pedro Pascal agreed to the role because they were working together, and Joaquin was like, "You're a gay guy, ain't you? I got a fucking problem. It's a great script. I developed it myself. Problem is, cold feet." Cold feet. I got a little, cold shower on this one. But you're a gay guy. You could do it.
Are you outing Pedro Pascal on your podcast?
I mean, we're still friends on Facebook. He could send me a text telling me, by the way, I'm in the closet for my career, and I would,
right. I don't think he is. I don't think he cares.
No.
Has anybody seen him at a party? He very much is not in the closet. He's fabulous everywhere he goes. Okay, Hinata said, in response to Go Gig, saying that Blake Lively should have just left.
Gig. Isn't it gig?
No, you're reading it wrong.
Really? Let me see.
Or maybe it's...
So it's like gig.
Maybe I have it wrong. I'm sorry. Okay. Anyway, Hinata says, of course, every woman facing a creep at work needs to leave and stay unemployed and pay the fines because the creep has to stay and not be bothered.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a great point. Like, why is it that, well, I mean, you know, he's the owner of the movie, whatever, it's a problem. But, like, it's a great point. Right. It's a great point. Why does the victim have to run away? Why does she have to suffer the loss? She booked this out. It's a big deal to, look, not only that, but there's another element here that movie stars in particular, especially the good ones, the good-hearted ones, they know that people geared up. They know that these are people's jobs.
Yes.
These are people, and they know that these people are check to check. They know that these people are living on rents,
the crew,
car payments, and fucking insurance payments. They're not living large on $300 million fucking interest rates.
Look, it ended up being Isabella Ferrer's very first movie.
Exactly. That chick was making fucking, probably a little better than Scale Plus 10.
She was working at the fucking Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah, she got, maybe she got 20, 30 grand or whatever for the role. I mean, she did not make a lot of money. And that may sound like a lot of money to you, but the average actor will take home about 30%.
That's a really big deal.
It's about 30%. So if they make $20,000, she's walking with $6,000 and she'll work for a month.
This user, CEO Sai, is with us.
Hi.
As asking, are you the only ones who are defending Blake Lively?
Yes, we are alone.
Do you think you're defending Blake Lively?
No.
I feel like we're just covering a celebrity lawsuit.
It's not about defending anybody, bro. Blake Lively doesn't need my help. This is about me. For me, look, here's the thing, bro. I wrote a book. It's called Too Real, a Hollywood Memoir. You can see it behind me, the cover. It's me. That fucking dashing, beautiful person on there is me. And I wrote this book because in the 90s, I had my movie stolen from me by Leonardo DiCaprio. And he went on a smear campaign and he destroyed my name, my reputation, my film, my work. It was fucking devastating. And it still to this day haunts me. And so in 2019, I made a documentary with the New York Post. And in that documentary, at the end of it, Leonardo DiCaprio, through his publicist, called me a liar and he called me a thief. And it was at that point that I was like, man, I gotta just fucking spill the beans. Well, as I'm doing this and writing this book, this Blake Lively, this was, I guess, after I released the book, this Blake Lively case breaks. And I start recognizing all these common patterns that I had to live through that I realized were a part of a smear campaign to not only destroy my career, but also destroy the film itself. Don's Plum, by the way, if you want to know, and you can see it on our channel. You can check us out on Patreon. There's all kinds of shit. You can buy this book on Amazon, all that stuff. But that's why I'm covering the case, and is because this case is so similar to my own. And for that reason alone, I feel like I can't keep my eyes off of it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, and that's why a lot of people are like, oh, why are you? You got fucked over by Leonardo DiCaprio. Surely you should be on Justin Baldoni's side, who got crushed by a big movie star. Let me tell you the biggest difference between me and Justin Baldoni. I pay rent. My rent is less than $1,000 a month. Justin Baldoni has purchased 2 mansions and a fucking bungalow in the last 10 years. He rents one of those mansions out for $40,000 a month, or dollars if you're watching Traitors.
In Southern California.
In Southern California, one of the biggest, most expensive markets
insane
in the country. So, Justin Baldoni is not this underdog that everyone wants to make him out to be. Mm-mm. This guy was a player. He had $1 billion backer. He was at the table with Sony Studios, a 104-year-old studio. He had the rights to a book that had sold 6 million copies. Like, he was playing at a high level.
None of that means that he can't be taken advantage of. The reason why
everybody can be taken advantage of in probably any circumstance, Hollywood or otherwise.
Well, but the reason why I'm interested in this case is because I'm just curious at this point what the hell his defense is. He has not articulated a defense that is coherent at all.
No.
His lawyer wrote this long lawsuit, and every single point that he made was directly contradicted by the evidence that he showed.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, at this point, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I'm invested now to try to figure out what is his defense going to be. It's like a fun guessing game before the trial. I don't know what he's going to do. The Junk Farm.
Oh, but before you go on, I want to just thank SC. Well, SC is here because she's not always at the lives, but she asked, I think it was SC that asked about the Patreon and said, hey, what's the difference between these packages? And she's the one who made me think this through. And so
helped you refine it?
Yeah, by tomorrow, the writing the writing room is not going to be you don't have to, you just become a part of the crew. The writing room is going to be a really fun time though. And now everybody on the crew is going to have access to that content. I'm literally going to be streaming the rewrite of my book.
Yeah, I know. Let me get back to your chat.
Through Patreon. I know you got to stop cutting me off, bro. I'm pitching our future here. So, thank you for that, SC. I really do appreciate that because I realized that there was like a little bit of a oops there on my part, and I straightened it out. So and by the way, if you've signed up and you are already a member of the writing room, just keep it, and that's fine because you're a part of the crew also. Just future members won't have to pay for it. Go ahead.
The Junk Farm said that we don't just let someone do SH, because the controversy about,
why is the burden on the victim here?
it's not up to her to let him do SH, right?
Yeah.
And why didn't she quit is deeply offensive. Why didn't he stop making shitty comments after day one?
Yeah, right. After the first complaint. Mm-hmm. Why did he roll his eyes when he was confronted? We saw the tape. He's trying to make himself out to be this guy who recognized the problem and exercised his authority.
Yeah, when he says that they talked it over and the issue was resolved, did he just sort of like sarcastically make it difficult for her to continue to have the conversation, and so he thought it was resolved?
Yeah.
Or did she also feel it was resolved because she felt like she was heard?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what I saw in that behind the scenes video was him being really dismissive and shitty about it, and it shut down everybody else because they don't want to fucking participate in a conversation with somebody who's gonna punish them that way,
Yeah.
Manderley said men are forces of nature and women just have to manage their responses. He had so many opportunities.
It's a great point. I mean, it's just like, again, I know that I was somebody who didn't understand like the kind of power, physical power that men had over women because I never exercised or even thought about it. I just never really thought about it. So I've always had a genuine feeling that women were my equal. Do you know what I mean? I've also seen women beat the shit out of men. I was from a very bad neighborhood.
Yeah, but you're talking about physically.
Some chicks like physically beat.
I think the context in this conversation is more like there are people who are not who have such fragile egos that it's very difficult to talk to them about any criticism whatsoever. They make it painful.
Yeah.
They make it painful and they punish you for bringing up anything that makes them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so people like that end up being isolated and they end up losing their friends and they end up not having strong, healthy social relationships. Like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but in his fucking prayer group, he keeps bringing all of these problems. He gets no feedback whatsoever from them.
No,
all of his people just like they'll send like, prayer messages.
Lip service.
But nobody actually wants to engage with him. And it might be because he's so fragile that he'll feel scorned so easily that it's too delicate of a situation to even engage with him.
Nobody cared to say, why is she?
Why are you saying that
you
made somebody you work with uncomfortable? She feels unsafe.
Yeah. How did that happen?
Yeah, exactly. And so we saw a glimpse of that where it's like, if his ego is so fragile, he puts up these big defenses where he rolls his eyes and he says, I guess I missed the HR meeting in front of a whole group of people.
Yeah, man.
That's who that guy is. And so he might think it's resolved because somebody stopped complaining to him about it, but it is not fucking resolved. What they did was they just went silent.
True that.
Because he's a fucking pain. So to me, it's not like men versus women, but like in this situation and a lot of others, women aren't going to continue to even just try and have a conversation with a man who acts like a moody, tantruming child,
Yeah. Back in the 90s, we call him a bitch.
I think, didn't Taylor Swift call him a bitch?
Yeah, so I guess it's still current.
He's being a baby. Hinata said that just today I heard someone say that they do have a problem with Blake Lively talking about Baldoni to his back, but have a problem. Said that they do. But they have a problem with Baldoni shit talking about Blake behind her back.
But don't have a problem with him talking shit. Yeah, I get it. There's always this hypocrisy. Look, there's I don't know. It's such a different problem because like if she's talking shit about Justin Baldoni to Taylor Swift, that's her friend. Her husband is Ryan Reynolds. That's just how it goes.
Baldoni said in his own deposition that his publicists are allowed to have their own opinions about stuff, and he doesn't have an opinion about it one way or the other. Whether they shit. So his publicists were shit talking.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going.
He was like, "That's fair."
Yeah, he's okay with Jen Abel, who literally like reached out to him and said, "Hey, some shit's gonna drop. I'm talking shit about you, And then, when he's asked about it in these depositions, he's fine with it. He's fine with it. Like, because he knows that everybody can talk some shit with their friends. It's just an excuse. That's an excuse. I think it's an excuse that people want to use to hate on Blake. She did what everybody else was doing, is talking shit. And as far as Justin Baldoni talking shit, he can talk all the shit he wants. She would not have done a single fucking thing if all he was doing was walking around. If they want, listen, man, let me tell you something about Hollywood. Okay, this is from the inside, right? It's not a big fluffy fucking place where everyone's walking around kumbaya, with locked elbows. It is a fucking contentious, competitive fucking place where elbows are up, as they say in fucking Canada. People are knocking people the fuck out in fucking Hollywood, bro. It's a fight of the fittest for the most. And it's a competition.
Like you got to know how to play with the big dogs if you want to run.
It includes people disparaging people to other people on a regular basis. It includes people trying to undercut people to put themselves in a better position than the person they're undercutting, obviously.
It's rotten though, isn't it?
It's rotten. It's fucking terrible.
It's not supposed to be that way.
But that shit happens. Well, the reason I'm pointing this out is that what happened, isn't unusual. These guys had a dispute, not unusual.
Oh, and they're shit talking.
Yeah, shit talk about each other happens all the time in fucking Hollywood.
Yeah.
But you know what the difference is? The difference is when the movie star or the person engaged in this fucking activity tries to kill the other person's career. That's when it's fucking crazy. That's when the line gets fucking crossed. Leonardo DiCaprio could have talked shit about me for my entire life. I wouldn't have given a fuck. But he crossed the line when he destroyed my reputation with distributors, when he destroyed my reputation with producers, when he destroyed the film's reputation with would-be fans. That's when he crossed the fucking line. Justin Baldoni crossed the fucking line when he took to the press, when he used these crisis PR firms to try to and successfully destroy her reputation globally.
And her future marketability.
Yeah, and her future marketability.
Now they don't know whether they can cast her to lead a movie like his.
He could have fucking walked around Hollywood the whole time from then till now saying Blake Lively is a problem. And
She's
people
super controlling. She wants to have a say in everything. And there's a bunch of people like that.
And we already know that there are people who do think Blake Lively is a problem because in Hollywood, nobody has everybody's fucking love. A friend to all is a friend to fucking none. And that is never more true than in fucking Hollywood itself. And they fucking know it. And he could have gone through his fucking Hollywood existence, talking shit about Blake Lively, talking shit about Ryan Reynolds, talking about doing his little dragon speech and fucking all this shit, keeping his little voicemails going, yeah, is this the same woman? And playing the voicemail where she calls him friend. He could have done all that shit without trying to attempt to ruin her career, which he did. And that's the fucking difference, and that's why we're where we are. You think fucking Blake Lively, you think Justin Baldoni is the first person Blake Lively has ever talked shit about? Do you think that Justin Baldoni is the first person to ever talk shit about Blake? Like, this isn't fucking new. A line was crossed, and this is the part that people don't want to fucking come to terms with who support this fucking pile of shit of humanity. A line was fucking crossed, and that's why I'm on her side. I'm on her side because you didn't fight a fair fight, bro. A fair fight would be go to the streets, talk your shit. But yeah, Blake Lively's a bitch. And he'd go, oh, Justin's a fraud. And they'd go about it and go about it and go about it. And that would circulate for time immemorial. And nobody's career had to be lost. They could have all just lived on their divides, which there are a million of in the Hollywood scene.
There's a bunch of testimony and like emails from Stephanie Jones where she's sharing little tidbits of like gossip and shit that she has about people being awful to each other.
Yeah.
But she has that. She keeps that. It's under lock and key. She's sharing it with a few people that she's in conversation with.
Yeah.
But she's not using it.
No.
Stephanie Jones is like a major, huge, massive publicist. She could use it if she wanted to, but she's trying to keep her job and her reputation. So she's not trying to destroy other people.
Yeah, I mean,
but she shares this kind of stuff in conversations, where she's like, that guy's an asshole and this guy acted like a dipshit and like whatever,
Well, I didn't love her unfollowing everybody, or everybody unfollowing Justin Baldoni before the premiere. Well, I didn't love that because it's something that would get noticed. It's not a directive handed down to a publicist whose reputation is
to destroy women.
To destroy women.
Right. who are credibly
or to destroy men.
credible
In
accusers.
in her case,
Right.
like she never took any actions to destroy Justin Baldoni's career. She took every action to say, I don't associate with this guy. I don't relate to this guy. This guy's not for fucking me.
Anessa's with us. Said, hi, Dale and Angela. I finally made it to
Anessa?
the... I know. I made it to the live. I just joined the Patreon, too. Happy to be part of the
Oh
group.
my God, that's so fucking great. Anessa, for those who don't know, goes all the way back to TikTok days, man. And I say all the way back because it's only a year, but we've been doing everyday lives for over a year, including TikTok, with the very few days off in that entire year. Obviously, we get the weekends. And Anessa was there from the beginning. She was one of my favorite fucking people on TikTok. So having you here is just a joy. So thank you for being here, and thank you for joining the what do you call it? The Patreon. I won't talk about it at length, Angela. Don't worry. I won't derail your good time.
Archival Raccoon
Pitching
said,
our future.
Archival Raccoon said, and when Blake Lively was honest to Justin Baldoni about his behavior,
Yeah.
he made her feel bad about it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is like such a. This
This
is like
such a typical fucking dude move.
It's so this guy fucking he's a
He does
walking
everything.
cliche.
When he also said that Blake Lively also said that when she refused a hug, that he would like glower about it, like he would be all like sad sack about
Yeah.
it. That's another very manipulative thing that some people do, where like any slight is something that they have to punish you socially for.
Right, yeah.
So they'll even be like a storm cloud, like all of a sudden they'll just be like shitty, and that's them taking control of the energy in the room.
Yeah.
And as the director, he has massive influence when his mood changes.
Yep.
So there she is being essentially the cause of his mood turning dark, which makes everybody unhappy. So she goes forward and she's like, well, I guess I have to just fucking hug him, so he doesn't go into one of these fucking moods and change the entire fucking, the vibe of the whole set.
Sai. I hope I got that right. Sai says, in the eye of the public, she lost, even if she's winning in court. Well, so then you have to ask yourself, like, what was she trying? She wasn't trying to win in court. And by the way, or win in public opinion. I think that this is premature. This is premature. Because right now, I think, by the way, that, I keep saying by the way, I fucking hate, by the way, I hate saying by the way. I think that I've seen more arguments and sort of minds changing in her favor now than ever before in this case. Her popularity, or her like versus dislike, it fell off a cliff right after this thing. Obviously the publicity and the PR smear campaign worked. I think she's going to claw her way out of this, potentially, if she gets the jury verdict. So while you're saying that now, I don't think you'll be saying that at the end, or I don't think people will be saying at the end if she wins, especially if it's an emphatic win. If it's not because I felt like when Depp v. Heard, when it came down, while Johnny Depp technically won that case, it was a mild judgment. Like he asked for whatever it was, $100 million, $50 million, stupid number, and he got 10, which is obviously still a big number. But I was like, I felt like the jury kind of put a lot of perspective on that, and we're like, you guys need to chill. And this case, I think, is got so much, it's so different because it's a workplace thing versus a relationship thing.
COSI said, but her arguments are not receipts, and the junk farm said his admissions are her receipts.
Yeah, we just read them to you if you weren't with us. Justin Baldoni just literally testified, according to his deposition, he literally testified that he was a supervisor, that he, as a supervisor, had obligations with respect to HR and complaints coming from subordinates, and that he did receive a complaint from Blake Lively regarding sexy comments or the sexy comment about her wardrobe, that claim by her was made in good faith, and that he did what he thought was all the steps necessary to remedy that complaint, which included never using the word sexy again and refraining from hugging her in the future.
Katie Joy makes a really good point. She says, I think that the pro-Baldoni side is relying heavily on the public's general ignorance of the legal process, and I would add their ignorance of filmmaking.
Both,
also.
Yeah.
I think they're really exploiting that heavily. Katie Joy continues, says, it's just not typical to have receipts of the kind Baldoni's team has published on that website.
Yeah.
These civil litigation is usually not litigated publicly like this. That's why it's so easy to see that this is a smear campaign, because we're not supposed to be seeing all of everything that he has.
Well, and that smear campaign weighed in all the way into the actual litigation,
Right.
And was in part performed by his attorney, Brian Friedman, who came to him via Melissa Nathan. It was Melissa
but also
Nathan.
the website, they're in the text messages celebrating how popular it is and how many clicks and how much the public is referencing it in their TikTok videos and stuff. Like, that's not fucking normal.
No.
Attorneys and publicists should not be concerned about that sort of thing. That's why they're trying to bury her.
Noty Trolls, thank you for that lovely comment. I'm not going to read it out loud, but thank you. That's very kind.
What is it?
I guess I am going to read it out loud.
Do I get to? Where is it? At the bottom?
It's not at the bottom, no. It's, she said something really nice that I can't just remember. It was, I hope you get to succeed again, Dale. You're so talented.
Aw, this is true.
Pretty sweet thing to say.
It is really easy to be a big fan of Dale Wheatley.
Oh, stop. Stop.
I feel especially privileged because I've gotten to read all of his stories that you guys haven't seen yet. And one of the reasons why I'm so glad that you created a book in that memoir is that now hopefully you'll
Write a novel.
generate the rest of your stories that are so awesome and turn those into books, and maybe people get to see them and hopefully they'll get optioned and made into movies,
Yeah, I'm going to write a book. I promise.
But there's you have at least a half a dozen stories that I would love to see. I think people would really enjoy as movies. This is what you guys don't understand is that there is a talent that Dale has continued to exploit and produce incredible work with, and that Hollywood has suffered so greatly in your absence.
Well, come on.
Like, they kicked you out of Hollywood and you would have created so much cool film.
Yeah, I don't think they suffered, but I do think that we didn't get to see it, So to that end, there's some suffrage, but we didn't get to see
You're modest.
it.
I wouldn't expect you to agree. But
I mean, look, I think I'm talented. I think my stories are good. I think that as a filmmaker, I would have only grown. I think I had, certainly a handful of potentially great films in me, and they're not lost. So that's a part of what we're doing with this Patreon. And I know I keep pitching it, and I'm going to keep pitching it because I believe in it so much, but it's that Patreon. I really believe that's the community that can set sort of that opportunity in motion, because I can Sean Baker a motherfucker in a minute, but it's all about having a foundation on which to stand. I can make a $250 million or $250,000 movie, and I can make it exceptionally well if I don't have to actually live off of any of the $250,000. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So it's about being able to create an opportunity that has that creates the foundation on which to stand for such things, because you need a platform, man. It's not most of the time, when you're fucking 20 or whatever, if I was Conley DiCaprio, I'd starve.
You'd starve for your work.
Yeah.
You would just be like,
I just can't
put
do
it
that
all
now.
on the line.
Yeah. I mean, starving is not even an option. I have gut issues. I'm not even kidding. When I was fucking 20, when I was DiCaprio, in my
when
DiCaprio
you're ramen
days,
noodles and get back to work.
dude, I went days without food, and a couple days without food. So, it's none of that. Anyway, that's a little shout out to Conley DiCaprio. I'm so excited for her. I just hope that she just totally fucking, dives in and just, with reckless abandon, the empty-handed leap into the void. That is what our youth gives us, is that sort of courage.
That's true. Sam David Jr. is with us, said, crazy question, but would you forgive Leo or Toby for doing all of that?
Yeah.
That is a crazy question.
Yeah. Yeah, I could
What do you
forgive.
mean, yeah?
The answer is I could forgive anybody who's ready to take responsibility, and there are remedies and restoration.
I would like to see the reparations. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to see the restoration fund and the efforts made
No, I mean it's
to
not
restore you back to where you were before.
I can't forgive them by going all right, fine. I need them to fucking acknowledge the things they did
and fix some shit.
and fix them. Mm-hmm. And I'm to this day being stolen from.
They're capable too.
And every single
These guys
day
are
I'm being
rich.
stolen from. Every single day I am not being paid for my film Don's Plum, and it's being consumed overseas in many different markets, even if it was also blocked illegally from markets like Italy and
France.
France. My movie is blocked from France.
It's a black and white.
It's a black and white fucking noir, or not noir, but like avant-garde fucking. It's Godard. Yeah. Literally, somebody fucking screamed that out in the audience.
With a young DiCaprio.
I had never even seen Godard, and somebody was like, Godard! And I'm like, who's that? And they're like, really amazing filmmaker, Dale. And then I found out who he was, and I was like, wow, yeah, we kind of did a little Godard-y action there. Godardo. I wonder if I met Godard, if I'd call him Godardo. He's dead, really I know, funny. But if he wasn't dead.
What's up, Godardo?
What's up, Godardo? Dale and I connected with our charts. We meet famous people in the... Yeah, that's right.
Dale and I are connected with our charts. We meet famous people and have to watch them do...
When they just shit on us, yeah.
Watch them, yeah. That they shit on us.
Our Cabo Raccoon is saying, Dale, change your name and send them a script. Well, that was where that was how I came up with the idea.
Deanne said that you should send your script as Henny Grace.
Henny Grace.
Because Justin Baldoni's not going to use that one anymore.
The agent changes the writer's script name to Joel Sippenstein.
Joel Sippenstein?
Joel Sippenstein. He becomes Joel Sippenstein.
That's a real name, right?
It was. I was when the idea hit me in a flash. I was driving down 73 in New Jersey, and I passed Sippenstein Cleaners, and I was like,
Sippenstein.
And the idea was rolling in my head, and I was like, oh man, it's got to be somebody. And then I immediately thought that he had a Jewish agent, and that the agent just changed his name into a Jewish name because he knew that because he's to play with the cliches, right? Mm-hmm. But there's also this. It's weird because I'm gonna stay with it even in spite of all this hate for Israel because I separate the two personally. Anyway.
But the agent was like, if you wanna get into doors in Hollywood.
No, he does it. He just changes it on his own. He doesn't even tell him.
Oh, really?
No, he doesn't tell him.
Comes up with a Jewish name.
He just calls him up and he goes like, dude, your script is blowing up in Hollywood right now. I was like, how? What do you mean? And he thinks, he thinks it's like him, and he's like, but there's a fucking bit of a catch here. And he's like, what? He's like,
I took
your
some
name
liberties.
is now Joel Sippenstein. He's like, what? But yeah, it was a cleaner, dry cleaners, Sippenstein Dry Cleaning. And then that's how
Nada likes your jokes tonight.
I'm fucking on fire.
Somebody praised Preach Alan and had all the popcorns. We gotta go though.
Alan's coming out. Oh, yes, fucking holy shit. You guys are so lovely. Well, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for the likes and all the kindness. Thank you for those who went over to the Patreon and took food out of their children's mouths and put it into ours. We appreciate you so much. You are the light of our lives. We're going to have announcements coming this Thursday, I believe, on the Patreon. So that's based on the Patreon, some more things that we're going to be doing with the Patreon. But there's going to be straight exclusive content going down there that I think is going to be really fun to consume and kind of takes a step out of what we're doing here to real and more into the like I said, who we are rather than kind of what we're being. And it's, I think, going to be a lot of fun. And so please come join us. I think it'll be, by the way, you don't have to join. You don't even have to, go sign up. And there'll be free content. There'll be some exclusive, some free for just signups there or whatever.
Yeah, that's good.
But you can sign up for free and see what's going on. And that still does support us so much just by signing up for free. But I really want your money.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I really want. I'm like, enough. We got to raise the money and we got to produce this show to what it can be because I love this medium.
Yeah, it's fun.
And I want to have a scroll of credits because I know that I can produce this at a real high level. We've got the talent, you and I. We just need some help along the way, and that only comes with somebody else's money, because I ain't got none. You guys are amazing. See you mañana.
Oh, yeah.
6 o'clock, folks, 6 o'clock.